ABC Sport Digital and now streaming on the ABC Listen app. Look for the AFL button.
Something big is coming, I know.
It's the 4th annual Emergency Services match as Hawthorn's rebuild faces the ultimate test against Melbourne from the MCG as round 9 of the AFL continues on ABC Sport. The Hawks are second bottom on the ladder, only the West Coast Eagles are below them with just the one win so far this season coming against North Melbourne back in round 3 of the AFL. With 5 losses on the trot, Luke Bruce and Chankwath Jaff both return, headlining 5 changes for the Hawks, who lost to the Fremantle Dockers by 69 points. While the Demons, a chance to join Collingwood on top of the AFL ladder, with young gun Jacob Van Rooyen free to play after having his sanction for striking overturned by the AFL Appeals Board back on Thursday. So it may have taken all week, but they got the result in which they determined. And 6 wins and 2 losses, a chance to make it 4 wins on the trot, having got over the line against the Gold Coast Suns last week. Matt Clinch with you for Grandstand AFL. It's a pretty cool, calm day at the MCG. 16 degrees. It's still a bit cold, so you need your jumper and your beanie, but there is some sun poking through before the artificial light takes over throughout the twilight. It's also milestone games for one of the Hawks battlers inside their defensive 50, Sam Frost, game 150, the former Giant, Demon and now Hawk, and he joins Stephen May, who of course is a premiership player and a dual All-Australian, having joined the Demons from the Gold Coast Suns. It is, of course, a very happy birthday to Ben Cameron, who's at the G to celebrate with us. Welcome, Ben, and happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Clinchy. It's great to be here. Where else would you rather be than watching the Hawks in Melbourne at the MCG on your birthday? That's a rhetorical question, isn't it? Maybe a few different teams, but certainly at the MCG. Of course, these two clubs were nearly one back in 1996. Since then, they've had great success in their own right. Hawthorn with the 4 flags and the 3-peat, and then Melbourne in 2021. I think we're all glad it never came to fruition after the jumper that was revealed back in 1996. The red and blue with the hawk across the front. It was horrific. But it's not so much how, but how much, I think, today for Melbourne.
Absolutely. Adam Romanascus is here for a Saturday afternoon. Welcome to Rama.
Good afternoon to everybody. The how's the interesting part, I think today from Melbourne. If you're a Melbourne supporter, you want to see the how with a dominant display. We came here a couple of weeks ago against North Melbourne, and you're a Demons fan. You walk away going, "Yep, we went in for the kill and we did." Now today, I think Hawthorn haven't been playing too bad. It's just obviously getting wins on the board. So look, we're all expecting Melbourne to win. But I'm really interested just to continue to see this Hawthorn team evolve.
And sitting alongside Adam Romanascus is Nathan Burke. Burke, always a pleasure to have you on a Saturday afternoon.
Hello, gentlemen. Yes, love the MCG. Only thing better would have been imagine if we had played this at like 10 past 2 the old Saturday afternoon. It was a beautiful day here in Melbourne, but if you can't play good footy out here, beautiful ground, clear skies at the moment, no wind, well then you shouldn't be playing football.
And the final member of our team sitting in the front row of the grandstand this afternoon is Carlton captain in the AFLW, Kez Peterson's with us. Welcome, Kez.
G'day, Clinchy. Berkey's just stolen my weather report, so thanks for that, Berkey. It is a little bit chilly down here at ground level, so don't worry, Ram. I've got my jacket on and my hood's coming out soon. Stephen May was sent into the middle for the Melbourne Demons. He's in game 250. He's won the toss, so he's off to a good start. Melbourne are going to be kicking to the Ponsford stand end. Relatively small crowd gathering down here at ground level, but I'm sure they'll be in full voice.
Thanks, Kaz. Looking forward to your contributions throughout the afternoon. The crowd is still building, as we mentioned. It's the 4th annual Emergency Services game, and it was great to see so many of those respondents standing as the teams made their way out. So raising opportunity and awareness for those around the mental health and well-being of all those people who work tirelessly in these fields. Great to see the Lifesaving Victoria chopper was at Waverley during the week, and Peter Hudson was there. Here we go, Hawthorn and Melbourne on Grandstand AFL. Here's Ben Cameron.
Meek and Grundy go at it. Meek wins the tap down. Warple soccers it forward towards half forward, running past it in the end, and there to mop up is Judd McVie for the D's. Gets it off to Cuzzy Pickett, who tries to get around Carl Amon, eventually gets a handball away, picking it up Viney. D's off half-back. Oliver, handball misses Pickett. Now they arrive, and tackled to ground is Moore. And it's held in. We'll get a ball up in the middle of the ground. No score through the opening 30 seconds here on Grandstand AFL.
Toss in the air. Grundy takes front position, but it's whacked over the back by Meek. Straight to Chandler, though, of Melbourne. Kicks towards half forward. Bounces in front of Blake and Van Rooyen. Van Rooyen tries to charge back onto it. Tackle by Blank. Dropped the footy. Umpire waves play on. Viney knocks it out to Oliver for Melbourne. Hand pass to Chandler. Kicks inside 50. Out in front of Pickett. And running onto it, Hunter. He tries to knock it forward to Fritsch. Getting back, Jaff lays the tackle. Fritsch didn't have the footy. And he'll take the free kick in the left forward pocket, only about 25 metres out, but on the tightest of angles.
It's just clumsy by Jaff there. He just didn't need to do that. Fritsch hadn't taken the ball and then just charged in.
I think he just wanted to set the scene early days. I'm going to smash you when you get it, but he didn't actually get it.
He's looking to step out and snap on his right boot. Melbourne's leading goal scorer this season steps out. It's across the face. And through for the first score of the match, are behind through 90 seconds. The Demons are on the board heading to the city end in the opening term.
On their goal kicking the last 3 seasons, Bailey Fritsch, wearing that famous number at the Melbourne Football Club. Are behind to start today. Sicily ambles into the back pocket, kicks long towards the wing, going up Grundy, hands to it, doesn't complete the mark. Rivers picks it up, handball to Grundy, flicks out a handball, flicked on again by Rivers. Pickett, his handball, chopped off. Day comes up with it for the Hawks, gets it out to Warple, just ambles along halfback, flicks a handball over the top to Jaff. Handball towards Day. Brayshaw could have lined him up. Eventually gets past him. Day. Handball to Warple. Kick inside 50. Not a good one. Hibbert marks. At left half back for the D's. They've scored the opening behind. The Hawks yet to score.
Back in the lineup for Melbourne alongside Charlie Spargo. Up the wing. Sicily in front. Got a little shove for Hunter, from Hunter. Gathers for the Hawks. Hand pass to Day. Kick looking towards Kajitsky, but working his way in front. Jake Lever for Melbourne takes the mark. Left half back, the Demons leading by a point. Lever veers out to the right, looks to drive it back up the southern wing. Gawn's the target against a couple. It's brought down by Frost. Spills Gawn's way, gets the hand pass to Oliver for Melbourne. Drives it back up the wing, out towards Fritsch. Can he juggle it just inside the field of play? He can. Between wing and half forward for the Demons. He spots a free player inside 50. Chandler pushing forward, and he marks in a similar position to what Fritsch had the opening shot on goal.
Just watching Hawthorn's defensive transition there. Just slow. They're slow to leave.
I was watching James Sicily. He let Fritsch run forward, who sprinted forward, and then he thought, I'll get the next one in line, and he jogged back to the next player who's now having a shot for goal. So he didn't work hard in either contest. Not what you want from your skipper.
With a few players missing, including Christian Salem, Kate Chandler's one who's taken his chances. 14-2. A goal in every game, deep in the left forward pocket. He misses to the left-hand side, 35 metres out. And the Demons have 2 behinds to Hawthorn yet to score. 3.5 minutes gone, opening term on ABC Sport.
Hawthorn in their home brown and gold with the brown shorts. As from the kick in, Hardwick turns it straight over. Petrarca marks, 55 out. It was a low bullet pass, and Petrarca 60 from goal for the D. Sets it up towards full forward. Gawn coming at it. Can't take the mark. Fisted away by Blanc. Jaff will gather it and just walk it out. Umpire says throw it in. 4:50 stoppage. What I was going to try and finish saying is the D's in their navy blue with the solid red V, the white shorts from the 4:50 stoppage. Gawn takes it out of the ruck. Snaps on goal. And misses to the right-hand side. A couple of behinds to begin. 2 behinds the D's. The Hawks yet to score. 4.5 in.
There was a late change as well. So Ned Reeves out of the side with an ankle injury. Jacob Kajitsky coming in. As Hardwick drives it as long as he can. Straight down the middle. Meet the target up. Can't complete the mark with Grundy there. Newcomb's tackled. Grundy locks it to his chest and a ball up in the centre square. Kes Peterson on the boundary.
Thanks, Clinchy. Just on the back of that late news with the out, Ned Reeves out of the game, Kazitsky in, Lockie Bramble the sub for Hawthorn, James Jordan the sub for Melbourne.
Thanks, Kez. Warple trying to get the clearance of the Hawks out onto the southern wing. Rivers gets there first. Tackled by Moore. Can't break clear. Somehow got a hand pass away to Clayton Oliver, who works it back to Lever at halfback. Looking for options under the Shane Warne stand. Spots up Viney. Wants to move it quickly because Gawn's pushing forward. Flying from behind. Punched down by Hardwick. Onto it is Petrarca. Tackled and somehow jammed it inside 50 towards the goal mouth. It's rushed through for the Hawks by Hardwick for a minor score. Melbourne have the opening 4 behinds. through 5 minutes here at the MCG.
It's not looking good for the Hawks at the moment. They've barely taken a mark this whole quarter. They just cannot find any free players.
Hardwick wants to bring it towards the members' wing, and May going up. The milestone man takes the mark in game number 200. Comes infield with his kick to Brayshaw, just forward of the logo on this members' wing side of the ground. He'll kick into the middle. Hibbard can mark. Backward of the bullseye. He'll send the D's inside 50. Gawn will try and get a run and jump at it. Sicily in front. Spoils it down. Grundy trying to rove. Fumbles it. Van Rooyen onto it. Jath knocks it away. Gathers the footy. He's tackled quickly by Rivers. And taken to ground. And a ball up at left half forward for the D's. It is all taking place in one half of the ground. The D's attacking half.
6 inside 50s to none. Melbourne's way as Grundy wins down the tap. It spills to Newcomb. Fends off Petrarca. Now has to find an outlet kick across half back. Needing Morrison to juggle it, and he does so against Langdon. Kicks it up to the members' wing. It's over the head of Brewston, goes out of play. The boundary thrown in front of the Melbourne bench. Demons by 4 points. Crowd is building throughout the afternoon. They're pretty packed at the City end for the Demons fans, so hoping sort of somewhere around 30 to 40,000. Thrown back in, Grundy in front position, can't get a disposal away. Meek can for the Hawks. Out past to Nash, to McKenzie, stripped of it. Good tackle by Sparrow. It spills the way of Clayton Oliver. He turns it over. Frost dropped the mark. Now he's got a trouble as Pickett lays the tackle. Hand passes out to left half back where Morrison races after it. Picks it up for the Hawks. Kicks inboard to Sicily, who marks on his chest the Hawthorn captain.
Sicily just goes for a little wander. The All-Australian from last year. He'll kick laterally in. Hardwick can mark, takes a bounce, crosses the defensive 50 for the Hawks. Handball over the top to Weddle, to Jath. Kicks around the wing, the kick is well weighted. Day can mark, gives off the handball, running by Moore. His kick is partially smothered. It'll ricochet close to the line, it was out. And a throw in at right half forward for the Hawks. Trying to work it down in front of the Shane Warne stand wing, 4 behinds to no score, Melbourne lead.
In the other match in Tassie, Port Adelaide leading North Melbourne by 68 points. And Fremantle winners by 17 points over the Sydney Swans. Thrown back in, Gawn wins down the tap. Trying to charge onto it, Weddle. Melbourne players appealing that it came off his boot, but it was over the boundary line and a throw-in. Still at right half forward for the Hawks. Melbourne with the opening 4 behinds of the match through 8 minutes. Toss back into play. Gawn takes front position against Meek. Meek wins down the tap though to Nash. Can they get a kick inside 50? He can't get a clean disposal away. Petrarca with the hand pass to Sparrow for Melbourne. Drives them up the southern wing. Fritsch the target, made body contact with Sicily and takes the mark. They're on the run here. Petty inside 50, getting back. Hardwick spoils it. Petty gathers in the pocket, trying to find a centering option. He hand passes it to Spargo. Gets the hand pass to Van Rooyen. Can't get around Sicily. Hand pass to Fritsch. Jams it onto his left boot. It's coming back. It's rushed through by Frost. No, it's not. It stays in. Cosy Pickett's onto it. He tries to fend off the tackler. And eventually is taken out of play for a throw-in the right forward pocket for the Demons. That was almost a nightmare for Sam Frost in his 150th. Just get the ball over the line, man.
Bet you that's not the last time you say that before the end of the game.
Cosy Pickett just threw it back into play as well in the end. Deep forward 50 stoppage here for Melbourne. Van Rooyen doing the ruck work, opposed to Kazitsky. McKenzie picks it up. Handball to Warple. Hawks with it in the back pocket. Handball to Moore. Kicks beyond the defensive arc and the mark taken by Bowie. 55 from goal. D's back with the football. Looks inside a congested 50, so just sets it up. Jath in good position. No one able to take the mark. Spills to Petrarca, squeezes it on goal and misses to the left-hand side. 5 behinds to start for Melbourne. Hawthorn yet to score. We've played 10 minutes opening term.
And they're yet to have an inside 50, Hawthorn.
That was 3 Hawthorn players all spoiling each other then. No Melbourne player went up, except Petrarca stood at the front and had an easy snapshot.
Sicily brings Hawthorn back into play. Long kick up towards Mitch Lewis. Can't take the mark. May for Melbourne. Hand pass to Sparrow. Works it a half forward. Petrarca can work it inside 50. And Spargo finds space in the right forward pocket. He marks 45 metres out from home.
They are 5 points behind, and that is 9 inside 50s to 0.
Imagine if they kick straight. This game could be over. Charlie Spargo, who returns to the Melbourne side after recovering from concussion. Played in the VFL last week. As he starts his approach outside 50, fires it right, bends back left and carries the goal line. Melbourne finally have their first goal of the match through 11 minutes at the MCG. They're 1-5-11 to Hawthorn, yet to score. In Grandstand AFL, you're with Nathan Burke and Adam Ramanauskas.
The damage, Berkey, has been done. Oliver, Petrarca, the usual names, but you look at Fritsch, Chandler, all forwards getting their hands on the ball as well. So I think Hawthorn have done a reasonable job to protect 9 inside 50s, but in saying that, it's 6 scoring shots out of those 9 inside 50s. So I mentioned before about the defensive running of Hawthorns, particularly their midfield and wingers. When the ball is living in the opposition's forward line, you need to help. You need to get back. You need to clog space. Hawthorn just are not doing that at the moment. Melbourne are taking marks around that half forward line. They're taking marks inside their 50 at the moment. Need to work harder, the Hawthorn midfield pushing back.
Marks 12-3 in favour of Melbourne. Contested possessions 19-6 in favour of Melbourne.
Spargo, one of the 2 inclusions for Melbourne, as Clinchy mentioned, out of the middle. Here go the Hawks through Newcomb. Low ball inside 50. Wingard can't mark. Coming through, Kaczynski gets a handball away. Snap now from Warple towards full forward. Mays there. And he marks defensively for the D's. In the left back pocket, he flares it out towards the wing. Neil Bullen in space, backward of the logo. Chips it forward of the wing. Finds Van Rooyen. A few jeers after overcoming that suspension during the week. Goes towards the pocket. Fritsch goes up, has a lot of it. Not paid the mark. The Hawks are there at the fall of the ball. Handball away, coming from Seamus Mitchell, looking for Weddle. He's over the boundary. 1-5-11 plays, no score, 12.5 play.
It's unlucky not to grab that one, Fritsch, but I don't know why he gets such a good run at marking the footy in amongst 3 Hawthorn defenders who've pushed back to play on him. Neither of them really affected the play.
Demons deep in attack. Meek one down the tap up against Van Rooyen. Newcomb unlucky not to get a high free kick as Van Rooyen followed up. Umpire will ball it up left forward pocket for the Demons. 45 metres out from Melbourne's goal at the city end. Meek engages Van Rooyen, wins down the tap, spills down the way of Chandler for Melbourne, can't break clear. As Frost dives over the top, Petrarca squeezes a little kick forward, and Petty is at 15, it is. Just claims the mark, slightly left of centre, 35 metres out from goal.
He just snatched that ball out of that contest, Petrarca. And it's the thing, you play in front, you get rewarded as a forward. So, not a great kick by Petrarca, obviously, in that traffic, but Petty playing in front.
Just the 2-1 for the season for Harrison Petty, playing as a forward and getting the nod over Ben Brown and Tom McDonald at the moment. Bringing Melbourne Smalls into the game, but can he kick a goal here for the Demons second? Petty starts his approach, comes in, good off the boot. The Demons extend their lead. Now able to get a bit more purchase for their dominance. They're 2-5-17 to Hawthorn yet to score. 14 minutes gone, opening term on ABC Sport.
Well, Petrarca's up to 6 possessions at the moment, and he's had the 2 score involvements. He's kicked the ball to both goal kickers. It's 16-3 in terms of marks. Hawthorn just cannot find a free player anywhere over the ground, and that comes down to a bit of composure with the person with the football, but also the rest of the team actually giving them options to kick to. And at the moment, I just don't see them working extremely hard. Mitch Lewis hardly got out of inside 50. Kaczynski's been up at the wing once. The big fella's got to come up the ground and start giving some targets, at least draw some of the Melbourne people to them so they can hit the other Hawthorn plays through the middle of the ground. At the moment, it's just kick and hope.
Rucks go at it. Grundy wins it down. Viney spins out of a tackle. Handball away to Petrarca. D's inside 50 again. Knocked down by Blunt. Coming through. Van Rooyen picks it up. Gets a handball away. Looking to get it to Neil Bullen. Seamus Mitchell picks it up. Squeezes a kick straight to the boundary at right angles and deliberate. Insufficient intent. And the D's will get it back. Hunter will have it. He points towards the top of the goal square. Channeling is Inaratamuze as well. Long sleeves with the white showing as it's rolled up.
Guarantee he's not having the shot.
He'll set it up towards full forward, looking for Gawn, can't mark Viney at the fall of the ball. Ricochets back to him, second chance, puts it through. Take two and Viney kicks the goal. And it is just all red and blue at the moment. 3-5-23 to no score, 16 minutes into the first term on Grandstand AFL.
Well, it's obvious that Lockie Hunter wasn't going to have a shot for goal. But then it's a matter of, like, you look where Jack Viney gets that crumb, and he's on his own. There's no Hawthorn player near him inside forward 50. It's just poor defensively there by the Hawks. He had 2 goes at it. He had that much time. Jack Viney.
I think we need to start calling it out. That is disgraceful AFL play from Hawthorn to have a big pack, top of the goal square, and a Melbourne player standing there virtually unopposed, no one going with him. I know the Hawthorn midfielders, they need to get the footy in their hands and get the ball up the other end, but the ball's inside your defensive 50. You've got to play some defence, so that is inexcusable from Hawthorn. That's amateurish stuff.
Nathan Burke with you on ABC Sport. Back in the middle, Gawn does the ruck work and the roving, kicks inside 50, looking for Cozzy Pickett, caught behind. Little toe poke from Mitchell, couldn't clear it, and then Impey tries to knock it clear, but straight to Spargo, he's locked up. 50 metres out from the Demons' goal. Just feels like the intent of Melbourne is, we're going to break your tackles.
Yeah.
We don't think you can stop us.
Bigger and stronger at the moment.
Gawn wins down the tap to Pickett, gets the hand pass to Chandler, kicks end over end towards the goal mouth. Fritsch tries to tap it to his own advantage, then later tackle on blank when he wasn't in possession. Eventually the whistle does come, and Hawthorn will get the free kick 25 metres out from their defensive goal at the city end. Melbourne by 23 points.
James Sicily, you're very lucky Fritsch fumbled that ball.
Sicily with it now in the left back pocket. He wants to go up the middle. Bites off the kick towards Impey. Brayshaw comes across, gets a fist to it. Loose footy. Day's there to pick it up for the Hawks. Has nowhere to go. Eventually has to head laterally and is able to find Mitchell. He goes for a little run for the Hawks. Down the great southern stand wing. He'll chip it short. Butler marks. He'll chip it really short again. Back to Mitchell, just in the field of play. Right beneath the Shane Warne stand. He'll go short again, back to Butler. Hawks working it slowly down that great southern stand wing. Melbourne 3-5-23. Hawthorn yet to score. 18 minutes in.
Sends it inside 50 to the stagnant 50. Koschitzki came in from the side and Stephen May was taken out.
No, other way.
No, other way.
I think he came in from the side because he got shoved.
So Hawthorn will finally get a shot on goal as Melbourne have put on the opening 3 goals of the match. At the opening 8 shots on goal. Jacob Koschitzki, who wasn't originally in the side but comes in for Ned Reeves as a late inclusion. A chance to kick the opening goal of the match for the Hawks. Max Gawn stands on the mark with his hands on hips. Koschitzki looking for his first goal for the season and the Hawks' first of the match. Comes in, drags it to the left-hand side and through for a minor score. Hawthorn 1 behind and Melbourne 3-5-23. 19 minutes gone. Opening term on ABC Sport. Here's Ben Cameron.
Sam Mitchell going to the stats computer to try and find a solution. May taking the kick in. Kicks long towards the wing. Gawn hands to it. Chandler at the fall of the ball. Squeezes a kick forward. Mopped up there by Frost. He gets it for the Hawks. Chips it short. Newcomb marks. Neutral territory. Great southern stand wing.
This is where they've just got to maintain position for a while. Just give the easy kick. Just don't play on and kick it to the boundary.
Oh, smothered by Langdon. It ricochets back to Newcomb. Gathers. Then says, I can take you on, Langdon. Feeds a handball forward to Mitchell. Back to Newcomb, to Nash. Handball trying to get it back to a teammate in Newcomb, and eventually Mitchell has to go get it. He's tackled by Pickett and dragged to ground on the attacking edge of the centre square for the Hawks.
I like John Newcomb, but he wants that 10 seconds back.
Inside 50s, 14-2, Melbourne's way. Gawn over the back to Hunter, stripped of it. Day tries to charge his way through for Hawthorn. Hand pass inside 50. The hand pass came to Nash, who just had a fumble having received it. He'll have to try and win it back. Impey turns it over. Good tackle, Bowie. Through the middle of the ground goes Jack Viney. Long to Fritsch, one-on-one. Almost juggled the mark against Hardwick. He's first back onto it in the centre square of the MCG. Van Rooyen's working forward. Out in front of he and Neil Bullen. Van Rooyen gathers. Hand pass to Neil Bullen, who slipped over. And it goes out of play in the right forward pocket for the Demons. 21 minutes gone. Melbourne by 22 points. 3-5-23 to Hawthorn, one behind.
Bad news for the Hawks is that first terms have been their best quarter this year and they haven't overturned a deficit at any break. Grundy wins the tap down, but straight today of the Hawks, gives it off to Nash, kicks to the wing, and Wingard can mark. Long sleeves on. Hawks down the members' wing, kicking out in front of Bruce. Hibbard comes across and slaps it out, a throw in left half forward for the Hawks.
Well, that's defensive intent there by Hibbard. So he could have easily just let Bruce continue on with that 3 or 4 metre gap, but grits the teeth, digs in, and it affects the spoil.
Melbourne by 22 minutes into the first term.
Toss back into play. Gawn and Meek. Meek wins down the tap to Newcomb. Great follow-up by Gawn. Lays the tackle. Ball spills to Sparrow. He's locked up by Nash. Seems Max Gawn is moving okay. That left knee still heavily bandaged. Follows up in the ruck here. Wins down the tap boundary side. Out in front of Day and Oliver. And Will Day taps it out of play for a boundary throw-in. Matt Clinch, Ben Cameron, Adam Romanascus, Nathan Burke and Kez Peterson with you for Twilight Saturday afternoon footy. Earlier, Fremantle 17-point winners over the Sydney Swans. And a big win for Port Adelaide over North Melbourne by 70 points. 2015, 135 to the Roos, 10-5, 65 in a match in which Nick Larkey booted 4, Jeremy Finlayson 3-5. Port Adelaide effectively doubled North Melbourne score.
Slapping it down, Gawn. Warple onto it though. Day. He spun in a tackle, gets a handball forward for the Hawks. Overrunning it, Newcomb, allowing in Oliver for the D's. Gives it off to his mate Petrarca. Kicks to the wing. Gawn marks on his chest to the runner Brayshaw. A bounce. Looks long inside 50. In the Fritsch direction. Over the back it goes. Fritsch will run onto it. Gathers. Look out. Jaff's got him. Loses the footy. And he's caught holding the ball. Good tackle from Shankworth Jaff. A goal-saving tackle, and he's got it at fullback. Inside the Hawks, they trail by 22 points, 3-5 to 1 behind. 23 minutes into the first.
1 of 5 inclusions for the Hawks as Jaff hugs the boundary line with a long kick. Up towards Butler, who can't take the mark as Rivers spoils it out of play. 23 minutes gone, Melbourne 3-5-23, Hawthorn 1 behind. Demons had the first 6 inside 50s. Now to score from 5 opportunities. Thrown back in. Grundy taps it down to Petrarca. Hand pass away to Sparrow. Dodging and weaving. Sends it inside 50 towards Fritsch. Spoiled away by Hardwick. Hard against the boundary. Still a chance for Melbourne. Viney got back to his feet and then dragged down in a good tackle from Frost. No whistle. Chance for Mitchell for the Hawks. Hand pass to Weddle. He's worked out of play as the pressure came from Spargo. And the ball goes out in the left forward pocket for Melbourne. Demons by 22 points.
.450 stoppage from the D's. They scored from the last of these. Gawn takes it out of the ruck, gets it on the right boot, snaps it through for a goal. It's like shelling peas at the moment for the Melbourne Footy Club. Making light work of the Hawks. 4-5-29 plays 1 behind. 25 minutes into the opening term.
Well, that's the second crack that Big Max Gawn has had at that, taking the ball out of the ruck. There's a bit of a half-hearted appeal for touched. I'm sure that one will be checked, but Lloyd Meek, he just can't, especially in the back line, be pushed out of the way.
And we welcome listeners who join us through South Australia and Tasmania, having come from Tasmania, where Port Adelaide recorded a 70-point win. Matt Clinch, Ben Cameron, Adam Romanascus and Nathan Burke with you, alongside Kez Peterson down on the boundary. Melbourne with the opening 4 goals of the match. They're 4-5-29 to Hawthorn, 1 behind. Here's Adam Romanascus.
Yeah, and where it's more disappointing there for Lloyd Meek. You've got to push your opponent boundary side. He kept Max Gawn goal side there It's brilliant by Max, but again, just poor by Hawthorn and Lloyd Meek.
Here's a chance for the Hawks as well. Day gets the clearance, kicks inside 50, spoiled away from Bruce. Butler brought down, great tackle from Hibbert. Spills the way of Langdon, gets the hand pass away to Rivers, up the members wing towards Petty. Frost gets a fist in there. Rivers kept running, hand pass to Sparrow, over the field of play. And the umpire will throw it in. Goals for Melbourne coming through. Spargo, Petty, Viney and Gawn. And the Demons have had a lot of the footy inside 50, 17 inside 50s to 4. 6 more possessions, with Melbourne going at 67% by foot, Hawthorn at 47. As Oliver gets the clearance, kicks it up towards Grawn, it spins away from him, running onto it, Grundy, hand pass over the top looking for Viney, Jaff got a touch onto it, back to Grundy, centering hand pass only as far as Moore for the Hawks, gets the hand pass to Jaff, kick smothered by Grundy, spills to Sicily, gets the hand pass away to Moore and back to Gaff, it's all under enormous pressure, his kick is partially smothered, Butler now tackled by Hibbert, the footy stuck underneath the two at right half forward, under the Ponsford stand. The Melbourne fans and the members are enjoying this intent.
Melbourne's defensive efforts are amazing at the moment. Hibbert's leading the way, but just their smothers and tackles, they haven't missed a thing so far.
Meek rising high to win the tap. Off to Jaff, to Sicily to Warple, who's almost run down, gets a handball away. It's coming back.
Went too far.
Travel,
Yep.
yeah.
Hawthorn players, when they run with it, they don't look further than 5 metres ahead of them. They don't look up the ground to who they can kick the ball to. It's who can I handball to and potentially get a 1-2 and get my stats up.
Petrarca to Oliver into the pocket, and all alone is Petty. He marks deep in the right forward pocket, a couple of metres in, 25 metres out. Let's go downstairs, Karen Peterson.
Yeah, you just mentioned, Berkey, I did a bit of snooping around the Melbourne bench, and on their message board is barbecue and heat around the source pressure. So you're spot on. The messaging down here for Melbourne Demons is to bring the heat tonight.
Harry Petty, he's already got one today. He's going to go with the big check side and not quite get it. It'll drift away from goal, and a nice defensive mark by Newcomb in the right back pocket. So the Hawks with it. They trail by 28, yet to score a goal.
Newcomb looked at options to switch play. We'll hand it up the southern wing, where Lever got hands to it, couldn't take the mark. Wingard front and centre. Hand pass to Warple, to Moore, lost his footing, ran into Bowie, tries to link up with Day. Good pickup. Arm pin though in the tackle from Lever. And the umpire will ball it up just to the left of the AFL logo on the southern side of the G. Melbourne by 28 points. Toss in the air, Meek and Gawn. Gawn slaps it boundary side to Oliver. Little kick forward, but only as far as Warple. Hand pass around the back to Carl Lamont. Centering kick over the head of Jaff. He races back onto it. Looking to bound from defence to half forward. He has to kick it forward towards Mitch Lewis. May comes charging out. Can't take the mark. Rivers picks it up for Melbourne. Hand pass to Petrarca. Breaks the tackle of Weddle. Links up with Rivers. Hand pass, miss Sparrow. And Nash for the Hawks. Through traffic to Amon. Gets the hand pass out to Day. Straight through the middle of the MCG. Down low for Bruce, who's caught behind McPhee. Hand pass to Bowie, who sends it out to Hunter, who marks it left half back for the Demons.
So Hunter on that left leg, kicks around the southern wing, fist from behind blank. He sees it out of play and a throw in just forward of halfway on the wing here for Melbourne. Just looking atop the scoreboard opposite from us, or the big screen, and a few emergency services types atop it. Obviously the emergency services game here today. Gawn takes it out of the ruck. Handball away to Neil Bullen, drops it under the pressure. Sicily picks it up for the Hawks. Gives it off to Mitchell, who gives it to Amon. And the switch is on. The kick to Butler. He marks on the run. Sweeps a handball to Wingard. Wingard looking for a leading target in Lewis over his head. It tumbles out. And a throw in right on the junction of 50 in the boundary line. 4-5-29 Melbourne. Hawthorn 1 behind. Closing in on quarter time here on Grandstand AFL.
Is that really where you want to be watching the footy from? Right on top of the scoreboard? Get an eagle-eye view, but you wouldn't want to have a fear of heights. Thrown back in. Spills Gawn. Sway. Cossie Pickett on half-back. Gets it to the advantage of Brayshaw. Spargo's all on his own. The kick missed him out on the southern wing. He races after it with Weddle for company. Gathers, turns and chips over his body. Petrarca's pushed forward. Got an awkward bounce. Now needs to get around Sicily. Centres it to Petty. There's just so many options for Melbourne. And it must be said, the defensive effort from the Hawks has been terribly poor.
Well, the simple fact there, Petrarca's on his hands and knees now because he's pushed from a stoppage on the half-back flank, or where that ball was, first out of the stoppage, a 70-metre run to get that ball to get it to Harrison Petty. That's simple work right there by Petrarca.
The third shot on goal for Harrison Petty. The one goal so far. And his shot for a second will come after the quarter-time siren. Harrison Petty looking to extend Melbourne's lead after the siren. Straight over the goal umpire's hat. It's a 5-goal-to-none opening term the Demons' way, as they really look to take control of this contest early. 5-5-35 the Demons to Hawthorn, one behind with 20-5 inside 50s in that opening term the way of the Demons. For Melbourne, 2 goals to Harrison Petty, individuals to Gawn, Spargo and Viney. And the Hawks with just the one behind next to their name. Earlier today, it was Fremantle by 17 points over the Sydney Swans. 16-17, 103 to the Swans, 13-8, 86. So back-to-back wins for the Fremantle Dockers. And Port Adelaide with 20 goals, 20-15, 135 to North Melbourne, 10-5, 65. The most goals they've kicked in a game, Port Adelaide, since 2006. Jeremy Finlayson with 3 goals, 5. Amongst 14 individual goal kickers, a big day for Port Adelaide against the Roos. And tonight it's Carlton and the Western Bulldogs from Docklands and the Brisbane Lions and Essendon from the Gabba. Good to see our SMS line is back up and running. So if you want to get in touch with us, 0437 774 774 is the number to get in touch with the commentary team. This is Grandstand AFL.
What's the best thing in the world that's also on the ABC Listen app? The footy! This season, get your footy live and ad-free on the ABC Listen app. AFL, NRL, men's, women's. Whatever you fix, we've got you covered.
She's got it! Bye-bye! See you later!
Every goal, try, mark and tackle. Called by ABC Sports' expert commentary team. AFL and NRL, live and ad-free. Get it on the ABC Listen app.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
May for Melbourne. Out past the Sparrow, works it a half forward. Petrarca can work it inside 50, and Spargo finds space in the right forward pocket. He marks 45 metres out from home. Charlie Spargo, who returns to the Melbourne side after recovering from concussion. As he starts his approach outside 50, fires it right, bends back left and carries the goal line. Cross dives over the top, Petrarca squeezes a little kick forward, and Petty is at 15, it is. Just claims the mark. Petty starts his approach, comes in, good off the boot.
Hunter will have it. He'll set it up towards full forward, looking for Gawn, can't mark Viney at the fall of the ball. Ricochets back to him, second chance, puts it through. Take 2 and Viney kicks the goal. 450 stoppage from the D's. They scored from the last of these. Gawn takes it out of the ruck, gets it on the right boot, snaps it through for a goal.
And his shot for a second will come after the quarter-time siren. Harrison Petty looking to extend Melbourne's lead after the siren. Straight over the goal umpire's hat.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
A dominant opening term from the Demons, putting on the first 5 goals of the match, and Hawthorn with just one behind next to their name sees the Demons leading by 34 points at quarter time on Grandstand AFL from the MCG. Matt Clinch and Ben Cameron calling the action. Kes Peterson down the boundary. The thoughts of Adam Ramanauskas and Nathan Burke, your experts.
You mentioned, Clinchy, during that quarter that Sam Mitchell was looking at the stats screen to try find answers. I think there's 2 parts to football. There's stats and there's the eye test. And I think Hawthorn really failed the eye test in that first quarter. When I talk about the eye test, stats will only paint one part of the picture. But what they can't paint is work rate, is defensive intent. Are they prepared to run the extra 15 or 20 metres to help a teammate to get there? The perfect example of that was Michael Hibbert. He didn't need to go and chase Luke Bruce to affect that spoil, but there was a will to do that. He forces the ball out of bounds, a stoppage there, and then the ball goes up the other end and Melbourne are able to score. The forward run of Christian Petrarca out of a stoppage, I look back to the stoppage where the Hawthorn midfielders are, and they're trailing him. So Sam, I think, can look at the stats board and go, well, Hawthorn have had 42 kicks and 46 handballs, and go, oh, we're handballing too much. That's fine. But at the end of the day, how do you measure that intent of how you want to play the game of football? And sometimes I think that's where we go deep into stats without trusting our eye.
Absolutely, and your eye just tells you that Melbourne are prepared to work harder defensively than what Hawthorn are. Harrison Petty has had 2 shots for goal. His last 2 shots for goal, basically uncontested marks in the forward line. And I think about up the other end, there was no way in a million years May and Lever and Hibberd would let one of the Hawthorn forwards just run into the forward pocket and take an uncontested mark, whereas Petty's done that twice down the other end. So Mitch Lewis hasn't touched it, Bruce hasn't touched it. The bottom 10 players for Hawthorn have had a total of 10 possessions between them. They're just not affecting the game at all. And if you're not affecting the game in terms of possessions, so that bottom 10 players, actually I'll go higher than that. I'll go 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. The bottom 16 players have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tackles between them. So if you're not actually affecting the game by getting your hands on the footy, well, do something. Lay a tackle, lay a shepherd, lay a bump, get yourself involved in the game.
Apply pressure.
They're just not even, they might as well not be out there, to be totally honest.
Well, Melbourne have had 90 disposals to Hawthorn's 88 and have still out-tackled them 17 to 16.
Yep, and gone inside 50 15 more times. It just shows how efficient they are. And a lot of that comes from, I'm going to actually take off and run hard and give my teammate an option once we actually get the footy. Where Hawthorn are just hanging around the ball, getting the cheap ones without looking forward.
Second quarter underway. The bounce is going to be recalled on the SMS 0437 774 774. Tyler from South Perth. Is this Saturday afternoon footy or Berkey's Whack Yard?
I think that's a new segment. I'd be happy to have that one.
Yeah. Hawks get the clearance. Meek got the hand pass to Newcomb, away to Nash, drives it inside 50, wide to Mitch Lewis. Working after it is Stephen May. It goes off his hands and out of play in the left forward pocket. Gary also says, in your commentary you said Van Rooyen was being booed. He isn't. He's being rude by the D supporters. And Fran from Melbourne says, hi guys, enjoying the call. I don't think the Ds will be concerned about the Hawks coming from behind today. Happy birthday to Ben. Absolutely, Ben Cameron.
18 today.
At the MCG celebrating his birthday. Where else would you like to be but amongst mates?
Got his driver's licence as well.
Hibberd can't break out of defence. It's locked inside the forward 50 for the Hawks. They'd be happy with that at the city end of the MCG. Melbourne by 34.
They don't let me drive in Melbourne yet. Haven't mastered the hook turns. There's Hibberd. Can't quite get a kick away. Spills out towards Newcomb. Gives it off to Day. Somehow slips the tackle. Snaps on goal right there on the last line. Fisting it through his lever. And saving a goal. 5-5-35 the D's. The Hawks a couple of behinds who played 90 seconds in this second term.
Christian Petrarca leads the way with 12 disposals for the Demons. Clayton Oliver with 9. Rivers with 7. Will Day with 12 for the Hawks. And James Warple with 10, but going at a kicking efficiency of 0. May comes in to Oliver. Gives it back to Stephen May in game 200. Sends it up the wing towards Grundy. Can't take the mark with Meek there. Trying to tap it to his own advantage past Morrison. But the Hawk comes up with it. Morrison fires the hand pass back to Frost. That's a poor kick. He turns it over on the members' wing. And Lockie Hunter takes the mark for the Demons.
Here is Hunter. As I mentioned, sporting that Adam Uze look. Long sleeves with the white showing as the sleeves are rolled up. Long kick towards half forward. Here's Van Rooyen. And the chance of Roo. The mark set 50 metres out, right on the arc. Van Rooyen will go back and laterally, back to Hunter. He looks inside a congested 50. Thinks about sending it into the middle of the ground. Eventually decides to set it up. Looking for Grundy. Back there is Meek. Hands on it. Ball jars free. Handball from Frost. Back to Morrison. High ball. It'll come down inside the attacking pocket here for the D. Sparrow onto it. Loses it under the Mackenzie tackle. And holding the ball. A free kick in the end will go to Newcomb with the tackle. He'll give it off to Waymon. The Hawks inside the defensive 50.
Switches it out to Hardwick, who marks in the left back pocket, takes a bounce and looks out to Jaff, who marks at left half back. CJ's on the run, he's hand pass though, straight into McVie, picks it up for Melbourne, hand pass to Van Rooyen, dodging and weaving around Jaff, who almost brought him down, hand pass to Pickett down at his bootlaces, can't take it, spills out Langdon's way, who now tackles Jaff, but it's over the shoulder.
He got that free kick there, Jaff, because he went lower and harder. That's the intent, that's better by Hawthorn.
For everything he creates, CJ, you do have a few moments where you're on the edge of your seat alongside Sam Frost. They combine here as he goes short to Moore, still inside the defensive 50. Kick is wide of day. The execution by foot from Hawthorn has been very disappointing. McVie gathers, hand pass to Langdon for Melbourne, back to McVie at right half forward. He kicks towards the top of the 50. Van Rooyen drops the mark. As Moore tries to put the pressure onto him, drags him down off the footy. Neil Bullen hand passes around the boundary line. Cosy Pickett taps it to his own advantage. Can't gather. Lost his footing. Frost hand pass away to Day. Links up with Sicily to Nash, who brushes off the tackler. Hand pass to Harry Morrison. Sends it up towards half back. Bruce tries to create a space to spoil it down. Knocks it to the path of Meek. Hand pass too slick for Newcomb. Now he gets it away to Moore. Tries to work it inboard and Chad Wingard takes the mark.
Wingard on the logo. Flares a handball out today. He'll kick towards half forward. Bruce, look out. Lever the other way. Ends up in the hands of Lever. And the D's get it back. Off to Hibbard. Kick towards the wing. Unable to take the mark. Chapp at the back. Van Rooyen onto it. Handball to Viney. To Grundy. Back to Viney. Long kick inside 50 for the D's. Oh, through the hands of Frost. Can't take the defensive mark. Let him up though. Is Weddle for the Hawks. Handball away towards Impey. And now Frost. He'll kick towards the wing.
Up towards Koschitzke, one-on-one with Stephen May, and May works his way to the front and takes the intercepting mark. Turns and comes inboard instantly and finds Oliver. Melbourne by 33 points. 5-5-35 to Hawthorn, 2 behinds. Spots Rivers out on his own at left half forward. He can come inboard to Hunter. There's some loose checking here. Hunter trying to dance around McKenzie. Gets the 55 out, long inside 50. Up went Petty, can't take the mark. Viney stays down, hand pass out in front of Langdon. He tries to get the hand pass away to Bowie, little fumble. Gets the hand pass now away to Sparrow. Wheels onto his right, bangs it towards goal and straight through the middle. Tom Sparrow's on the board. And Melbourne's lead continues to grow. 39 points at the 6-minute mark of the second term. The Demons 6-5-41 to Hawthorn, 2 behinds.
Well, thanks, Tom Sparrow, because that was an ordinary 5.5 minutes of football, to be totally honest. Hawthorn couldn't hit the side of a barn with a handful of wheat. They're just kicking the ball straight back to Melbourne, and Van Rooyen was dropping marks, and everyone was dropping marks, and it was very ordinary. But thankfully, Sparrow just held his width, stayed out of the play, got on the end of a handball and off a step, put one through from 30 metres out, which was a nice finish in the end.
To back that up, Berkey, Hawthorn are kicking it at 45% at the moment, their efficiency.
It's not going to get any better.
No. I'm not sure they can hit open targets.
No, that's right.
Ones.
Yeah. Look, it's credit to Melbourne's pressure, but it's poor skill execution by Hawthorn.
So the opening 6 goals of the game to the D's. Winning it down, Gawn. Viney onto the football. He'll kick the D's back inside, attacking 50. Petty and Sicily. Sicily nudges him under it and takes the mark. So the Hawks captain, our only All-Australian out there. 5 out there today for the D's. A high kick into the middle of the ground. Coming up, trying to take the mark is Koschitzke. Follows up at ground level, wins it back. Handball to Warple. Warple will float a kick towards half forward. And Bowie leaves his man, slides in and marks. Takes the intercept mark for the D's.
Thought about the hand pass around the back to Stephen May. Instead, sends it laterally out to the members' wing. Hunter takes the mark. Looks up. Petrarca has space. Moore comes in from the side. Drop the mark. Gathers it. Looks up. May in front of him. Hand pass back to Warple for the Hawks. Pokes a kick to Nash. Players coming from all different directions. He takes the mark. Viney from the left. Hunter from the right. It took a fair bit for the Irishman to be able to hang on. In the end, his legs taken out by Hunter. Gets the hand pass to Weddle, running from half back. Sends it long towards half forward. Up flies Mitch Lewis and takes the mark. At right half forward for the Hawks, 55 out from home. Vacant goal square, goes for home. It's out to the left, and Langdon will mark on his chest on the behind line. Melbourne by 39 points. Don't tell me they're going to go upstairs just to check. Goal umpire was in a perfect position. Unless he said to the umpire, I'm not 100% sure, but that seemed pretty regulation.
What I would say as well, if 1 point is important in this game, by gee, I'll be surprised.
So we are getting a view from the left goalpost just to try and make sure if the mark was completed before he crossed the line, but the right goalpost, of course, is in the way, so we don't really have a great angle.
That's a mark.
It looks like he has it on his chest before he's the other side of the post, put it that way. Fremantle winners by 17 points over the Sydney Swans. They're up to 12th on the AFL ladder. Port Adelaide by 70 points over North Melbourne. We'll wait on the big screen and assume it's going to say, behind. Okay.
What?
That wouldn't have been the outcome I would have predicted, so I'd be out of the sweep.
Langdon can't believe it. He's got his hands out. They think...
No,
that's a mark.
Now the umpire's saying, no, that's a mark.
Press the wrong button.
Push the wrong button in the arc.
He's overruled it.
Where's the Benny Hill music? The kick goes long up towards the wing. Petty trying to follow up. Knocked out by McKenzie for Hawthorn. Spits out to Newcomb. Handball back to Morrison. Back to Hardwick. Hardwick nowhere really to go. Feeds a handball forward to Morrison. Kick infield is good to McKenzie. So McKenzie with it on the wing. Melbourne by 39.
Sends Hawthorn inside 50. Mitch Lewis is there. Got a shove on May. He's paid the mark. Directly in front. 25 metres out from goal. Do you have both hands in the middle of the back, Rammer?
Yep.
That's a push in the back.
Push in the back.
I saw one last night that wasn't paid, which had a few supporters irate. And Mitch Lewis will take it if he can get Hawthorn's first goal. Directly in front, 35 metres out. He comes in and puts Hawthorn on the board. 10 minutes into the second quarter. And it's good to have him back. Mitch Lewis leading the charge for the Hawks. His fourth goal of the season in his third game. Hawthorn 1-2-8 to Melbourne 6-5-41. The margin is 33 points. Nathan Burke and Adam Ramanauskas with you on ABC Sport.
When they adjusted the rule back, they said, look, you can stretch out your arms, you can hold players, you can touch them in the back, you just can't extend the arms. And that was a full two-hand extent right on the number of Stephen May. But thankfully for the game, we've got a goal for the Hawks, which is good. But a couple of repeat entries, which is good. Good forward entry, good forward pressure. Put pressure on Melbourne, bringing the ball back out, turn the ball over and go back again. Give your forwards multiple opportunities to actually take a mark or do something special, and they did that then. And hang on, Newcomb's given Oliver one, and they've gone, that's a free kick to Melbourne.
A little tummy tap, so the free kick will go to Gawn. Gawn will get it in the middle. And Max Gawn with the free kick.
A little bit of LeBron action there, I think.
I reckon a little flop perhaps as the kick from Gawn is smothered by Meek. Melbourne win it back in the middle. McVie picks it up. Handball to Oliver. Back to Gawn. High ball inside 50. Petty coming at it. And he clunks it. Strong hands. He marks 50 metres out. Well, the mark will be set 48 metres out, in fact. Does he have the journey in him, gents?
No. He thinks he does.
His eyes are darting a little bit. He's already got a couple. Harrison Petty to have three in the second term. He'll just set it up. Low ball towards full forward. Day stands in front of the pack, brings it down. Clearing kick. McVie bursts onto it. Can't gather it. Bruce can. Knocks it away. Eventually, Warple picks it up. Squeezes a kick out.
Only as far as Petty. Hand pass back into the middle of the MCG for Brayshaw. Long kick inside 50. Hardwick marks on his chest. 35 metres out from his defensive goal. Kicks it to the left back pocket for his Hawthorn captain in Sicily. He chips it to Morrison, but they're still not outside of the defensive 50-yard. All the way back to Hardwick. Sends it out to Mitchell. Marks in the right back pocket. Now he finally has some space. Takes a bounce as he runs towards right half back. Hand pass to Weddle. He looks for options further afield. Sends it towards Kazitsky. 2-on-1. In from the side. May spoils it down for Melbourne. Neil Bullen onto it. Half past a lever. Back to Neil Bullen. Carl Amon slipped over. Works it forward to Chandler, who marks centre of the members' wing.
He'll chip it short. Spots up Spargo. Saw something interesting on that break down this wing as Spargo kicks into the middle of the ground and mark taken by Oliver. He'll chip it short and Pickett leads up. He marks on his chest right on the arc of 50.
Two Hawthorn players are either side of him. The most dangerous part of the ground is the middle, and again, an easy little hit up.
Oh, Christian Petrarca just leads into the hole, and Cozzy Pickett picks him out. Petrarca marks 40 metres out directly in front.
Are they trying to play space rather than man-on-man, a zone? Is that what they're doing, or just not defending?
Craziness, because, well, here's Stephen May.
He gives it off to Stephen May, wheeling around the back in his milestone match, and he misses the lot out of bounds on the full.
Not bad by Petrarca. Create a little bit of theatre, Stephen May with the milestone, but yeah, I wouldn't be doing that again now.
Melbourne lead by 33.
Yeah, they are guarding space, but it's wrong because there's no responsibility then, Clinchy. I'm at my spot, you're on your spot. Well, who's responsible for the guy that's leading up the middle of the ground?
As it stands at the moment, no one.
Correct.
Meek long out of defence. Hibbert got hands to it, couldn't take the mark. Bruce on it for the Hawks. Hand pass out in front of Mitch Lewis. Had to have a second go at trying to regather it. Fends off Bowie's hand pass boundary side. Too wide for Warple. Zolva trying to keep it in play. Think of sides of recent generations who played that system successfully, sort of West Coast, and it's almost an old sort of game plan to try and play a zone defence rather than one-on-one, unless you've got the defenders to execute it.
And communication.
Yeah, experience and consistency. Sparrow for Melbourne, tackle, dispossessed, spilled the way of more of the Hawks. Sends it towards half forward. Mitch Lewis dragged down in a tangle with May. Ball ricochets away from Hibbert, who's down. It comes the way of Brayshaw. Hand pass back inside the defensive 50. Missed Bowie. Bruce tried to get down low. Hand pass away to Butler. Just the goals between him. He's tackled at the last moment. A great lunging effort by Alex Neil-Bullen. And the kick misses to the right-hand side. And they're keen to let him know about it. Sam Butler. It's a great effort from Alex Neil-Bullen to get a hand to it. Melbourne by 32 points.
He copped a good one there, Michael Hibbert. He was down for a minute or so. He's going to get the mark here.
Yeah, May with the kick in. Short to Hibbert. He'll whack it long on the left towards the wing. Coming in, Petty. Good mark. Been active early in this game, Harry Petty. A couple of goals to his name already. His kick is a shocker. Turns it straight over. Straight to Seamus Mitchell for the Hawks. Gives it off to Amon. He'll kick towards half forward. Hibbert in best position. Marks it back for the D's. He'll kick laterally, and marking on the slide is Neil-Bullen. 6-5-41 the D's. The Hawks 1-3-9. 16 played in the second.
Melbourne keep the opening 5 goals of the match. A goal apiece so far in this second quarter through 16. Sends it up the wing. Neil-Bullen's kick is marked by Petty, who's having one of those sort of nights. Hand pass to Oliver around the boundary line for Hunter. Looks up, Gawn's on the lead. Down low, he's sliding in to take the mark. In front of James Sicily. Big Max Gawn is out to the left. He'll have to kick from right on 50.
Harrison Petty's playing centre forward like Stuart Lowe tonight.
Yes.
He's just marking everything that's coming his way, but most of them are uncontested because no one's paying him any attention whatsoever.
But it's back to the zone.
Yeah,
who's actually on him?
Don't know.
Out to the left. Max Gawn with goals in 3 games. He's kicked 5 for the season.
Yeah, that's a casual runner.
As he is very slow in his approach. Now a bit of a stutter step as he veers out to the right. Trying to get every inch of distance. It's out to the right. Grundy's underneath it. And the 2 rucks combine. Gawn to Grundy. Not intentional, but maybe a sign of things to come. And Grundy's only about 10 metres out. Pretty much top of the goal square. Slightly right, but pretty much directly in front.
It's Kazitsky having his turn in the ruck at the moment, so he was Grundy's direct opponent there. Just let him have a run and jump at the ball. It's a good mark by Grundy.
He's kicked 4 goals in the last 2 matches, Brodie Grundy. Finally starting to get a bit of consistency with Max Gawn having returned. For Melbourne's second goal of the quarter, Grundy comes in and joins the growing list of goal kickers. High fives all round as he celebrates inside the forward 50, and a bit of a wry smile as he and Max Gawn come together. The Demons by 38 points, 9-5-59 to Hawthorn 139 on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen Up. Here's Adam Romanascus and Nathan Burke.
What Melbourne are really doing well is they're making the field very wide at the moment. So they're forcing Hawthorn's zone defence to move. And when they shift, you do find little holes and little gaps in it where then you can go and start to attack. That's where Melbourne are very lucky with their wingers in Lockie Hunter and Ed Langdon. Because they run end-to-end, they can create space through the middle of the ground. So Melbourne's mids are moving into those gaps. Hawthorn are just not following them, just allowing those easy uncontested marks.
Bounce back in the middle. Grundy slaps it down straight towards Petrarca. Wrapped up in a tackle. Handball away. Day wins it for the Hawks. He'll kick towards half forward. Race is on. Bowie tracking it. Gathers in the field of play. Handball away towards Brayshaw. He's bundled out by Moore, and to throw in at right half forward for the Hawks. Grundy gave us the little index finger and pinky celebration. I'm not sure whether it was a little rock music
demon,
tribute,
isn't it?
or maybe a demon. Umpire flicks it back in. Kaczynski knocking it down. Viney eventually picks it up. He'll get a handball away. MP coming through. And now a loose footy back towards the boundary line and a throw-in.
Kes Peterson on the boundary.
Guys, it looks like Hawthorn's made their subs, so it's Brambles coming in, and it's James Blank who's come out. He corked his quad in the first quarter and just hasn't been able to get right, so you'll see that Lockie Brambles just entered the field of play. All
right, thanks, Kez. James Jordan, the sub for Melbourne when required. Grundy wins down the tap for the Demons. Kaczynski follows up. Hand pass for the Hawks to Carl Lamont. Works it to Impey. High up and under kick inside 50. Hibberd rises. Can't take the mark. Spills away at Butler. Trying to get a hand pass to McKenzie. He's stripped of it. And Moore's locked up by Hibberd and Lever. A ball up 40 metres out from the Hawthorn goal. The City end. Melbourne by 38 points.
2 goals to 1. The Wave the D's in this second term after 5 unanswered in the opening term. And the ruck tap by Grundy, piling on top. And slow to get up is Hunter. Another ball up. Inside the attacking 50 here for the Hawks. Grundy wins it down, straight to Hunter, gets it out to Rivers. He'll kick out towards the wing, and the mark taken there by Neil Bullen. Eventually juggles it at right half back, eventually controls it. He's leading by 38 points, Neil Bullen. Little chip over the top, trying to get it to Rivers. Handball away, picked up there by Langdon. Handball to Brayshaw. D's at right half back, and Rivers will kick to the wing.
Long ball up towards Van Rooyen. In front was Frost. He got it down to Weddle. Hand pass to Mitchell for the Hawks. Around the boundary line. Can't find Jaff, and the intercepting mark is taken by Ed Langdon. Turns and kicks inboard to Angus Brayshaw. Right half back for the Demons, who lead by 38 points. 7 goals to 1. 21-minute mark of the second term. Sends it over the head of Charlie Spargo, who led up. It skids off the turf and goes out of play in front of Frost and Van Rooyen for a boundary throw-in. Matt Clinch, Ben Cameron, Adam Romanascus, Nathan Burke and Kes Peterson with you for Saturday Twilight Footy, depending on where you're listening to us. Carlton and the Western Bulldogs from Docklands tonight, and the Brisbane Lions and Essendon from the Gabba. Thrown back in. Kaczynski tries to knock it forward. It's straight to Langdon and Melbourne. He's stripped of it. Viney works back for Melbourne. Quick 1-2 with Brayshaw. Underground hand pass to Rivers. Trying to find a way past McKenzie. Hand pass inboard to Viney. He cuts back onto his left-hand side. Drives the key inside 50. Over the head of Gawn. Van Rooyen spoils it down. Straight to Neil Bullen. Kicks towards the goal mouth and getting back. Mitchell takes the mark. Hugging it to his chest 10 metres out from his defensive goal.
We'll give it off to Sicily, who goes really short to Weddle. Pick 18 from last year's draft, wants to run away with it. Handball under pressure, a turnover. Winning it back, Hibberd to Hunter. Chips his kick and Spargo's on the end of it. The bare 15. Spargo wants to come infield. Oliver, nearly, not quite. Loose footy, Jaff goes in. Inside the defensive 50 for the Hawks. Handball back to Weddle. Handball all the way back to the sub Bramble, who's into the game. He gives it off to Waymon. A couple of bounces. Look out. Just gets his kick away.
The chase from Pickett was enough to force the kick out on the full, though. He may not have laid the tackle, but he did enough to impact the play.
Absolutely fantastic.
If you bounce the ball twice, it means you've got a fair bit of space on your side, but he ended up having been under enormous pressure just from Pickett's chase.
Brayshaw took the free kick inboard to Petrarca. Kicks to Viney, who's taken high but claims the mark. In front of Will Day, and he's a bit slow to get to his feet, Jack Viney.
I don't think that kick was meant for Viney.
Viney sends it long towards Gawn, over his head. Van Rooyen's there. Directly in front, 15 metres out. The Melbourne fans at the Punt Road end enjoyed that as Roo flew from behind.
Well, that was just Max Gawn leading out. The kick went over his head, and it was Van Rooyen who just read it better than every other forward down there and defender down there to take an uncontested mark 15 metres out.
Took till Thursday for him to be able to play, having been cleared from his strike on Charlie Ballard last week. Jacob Van Rooyen comes in and becomes the 7th individual goal kicker for Melbourne. The Demons are doing as they please. It's a 44-point margin Melbourne's way. 8-5-53 to the Hawks 1-3-9. 24 minutes gone, second quarter. And on the SMS, 0437 774 774. Hi guys, Rory in Reservoir, a blind listener. Love your commentary. I think there should be a flashing amber light when a score review is in progress, and then a green light when the on-field umpire makes the decision, or red if it's overturned. What are your thoughts? They used to have that in the old one-day cricket, didn't they?
Yeah.
Before the video screens took over. Glenn from Tara in Queensland, being a Cat supporter, I'm quite delighted any time the Hawks get stitched up. I'm enjoying it, but let's not talk about last night. And a lot of us saying happy birthday to Ben Cameron. So anyone's that mention that, 0437 774 774, they're a good chance of getting red on air.
Bounce back in the middle, Gawn in the ruck, knocks it down into the path of Sparrow, but he loses it. Warple emerges with it for the Hawks, kicks inside 50, looking for Day, can't take the mark. Brayshaw there to mop up. Handball to Rivers, kick laterally for the D's, and the mark taken by Hunter. Kicked 3-1 in their second term now. Hunter's kick to the wing. Newcomb in front, brings it down. Neil Bullen onto the footy. He eventually has to shovel it out. Getting involved Hardwick, slapped on there by Newcomb. Hunter will track it back, loses it. Picked up by Bramble. Handball to himself. He'll soccer it inside 50. Brayshaw diving on it like a goalkeeper. He goes again. Eventually Lever wins it for the D's. Handball back to Brayshaw. D's with it at half-back, and now Oliver onto the footy.
Hand pass over the top to Viney, who returns it underground. Hand pass back to Oliver, drives it up the wing. Gawn the target, had to spoil it against Meek. Spills to Jarman Empey. Hand pass inboard to Connor Nash. Free kick for a hold. Hawthorn take the advantage. All the way back to Seamus Mitchell at centre half back. Looks out to the southern wing. Chad Wingard has space. Takes the mark. Wants the hand pass inboard. Back to Mitchell. Good speed of acceleration. Sends it inside 50. Bruce, it won't get to him. And Stephen May in game 200, as he's done so many times, floats in from the side and takes the intercepting mark in the right back pocket. Melbourne by 44 points. As he goes short to Jake Lever. Kes Peterson on the boundary.
Yeah, a little bit of concern down here, thanks Clinchy, on the Melbourne bench. Harrison Petty's come off a couple of times complaining of a right foot concern, so I wouldn't be surprised at half-time if they make that tactical sub. I'll keep you posted.
Off hands, the Hawks win it back. Meek to Jath. Can't quite pick it up, eventually does. Handball to Nash, back to Jath, and then Newcomb goes inside 50 with the kick. Spoiled away, and in the end, Rivers marks it off his own spoil. He'll have it at centre half back for the D's. Out towards the wing, looking for Fritsch. Caught behind, has to bring it down to ground level. There to pick it up, McVee goes back to Fritsch. He'll kick infield, a little bit dodgy, bouncing ball for Rivers. He's able to gather it, he's tackled to ground quickly. And they pile on a ball up in the middle. Melbourne by 44 points, closing in on half-time.
It's funny to say when you're 44 points up, but Melbourne need to make sure they don't fall into the trap of playing like Hawthorn. They're a cut above, they're just getting a little bit sloppy.
Gawn wins down the tap to Sparrow, gets it to Viney, almost leaked by Nash. Gets a hand pass forward, but it's Newcomb for the Hawks who gathers. Hand pass to Bramble. Sub into the action for Blank. Looks up towards half forward. Won't quite get to Bruce. In front, Lever can't take the mark against Day. Hand pass to Hibbard. They get out of defence with a hand pass to Brayshaw. Up to Fritsch. A couple of Demons all on their own. He can chip it over the top to Van Rooyen. He marks. He's got Grundy in the pocket of his own. Or Pickett. just find the right option, and Pickett leads up and marks on his chest. This is not working for Hawthorn. It's like they're playing against a schoolyard side.
Well, it's 3-on-1 out on this wing.
Well, John Newcombe gets the ball in the middle of the ground. He's had 1 kick, 6 handballs this quarter. He's intent on handballing the footy. If he kicks that ball, it gives Mitch Lewis, Bruce a chance to actually contest the ball inside forward 50. It was 3-on-3 inside there. Mucks up a handball, and Melbourne get a shot at goal at the other end. Kick the ball, look forward, get your eyes up.
Cosy Pickett out to the left, kicking from 45 metres out. He just drags it left and through for a minor score. Melbourne by 45 points, 29 minutes gone, second quarter.
We know Connor Nash doesn't like kicking the footy. He'll handball every opportunity that he can. But when the Hawks midfielders do get it, they're playing into Melbourne's hands by keeping it in the area. You've got to get the ball going forward. Bruce hasn't had a kick yet, but I dare say he hasn't had a great deal of opportunities.
Half-time siren sounds as Hawthorn bring it back into play through Sicily to Jaff, and that'll do us. Sam Mitchell would be pretty happy to get his team into the sheds to try and realign them with what they're trying to do, with Melbourne leading by 45 points, 8-6-54 to the Hawks 1-3-9. For the Demons, 2 goals to Harris and Petty, individuals to Van Rooyen, Grundy, Viney, Spargo, Gawn and Sparrow. 7 individual goal kickers, and for the Hawks, their 1 goal has come through Mitch Lewis. Melbourne by 45 points at the MCG. Earlier today it was Fremantle by 17 points over the Sydney Swans, and Port Adelaide by a whopping 70 points over North Melbourne, in which they kicked 20 goals, but the first time they've kicked that many goals since 2006. The thoughts of Adam Romanascus and Nathan Burke with you on ABC Sport.
Well, inside 50s are 35-15. 15 inside 50s for a half, and they've actually had 177 possessions and taken the ball inside 50 15 times from 177 possessions. So just goes to show that their game style of moving the ball is completely inept and ineffective. This is obviously Hawthorn I'm talking about. I would hate to be a Hawthorn forward at the moment, because when they do bring the ball in there, they're missing targets. But the opportunities that they have to get the ball inside 50, they're just not taking them and playing into Melbourne's hands. Melbourne's pressure is still there. I dare say Simon Goodwin will go in at half-time, even though they are a fair way in front, and just say, hey guys, that quarter we just probably mucked around just a little bit with it too much. I want everyone, as soon as you get it, to look forward, because there are holes. Don't necessarily look sideways and go to the boundary as often as what we probably are, and I think they could probably be further in front, but they just sort of came down to Hawthorn's level to a degree. But for me, for Sam Mitchell, okay, the intent, the tackling wasn't as bad as the first quarter. To me, that was just purely the way that you're moving the football was completely inept. For some reason, your midfielders want to handball the ball instead of kick it. Just plays in Melbourne's hands, because if they don't get you on the first tackle, they definitely get you on the second tackle. And what we saw in the end of that first quarter for Melbourne was space inside their forward 50. Grundy pretty much takes an uncontested mark, kicks a goal. Van Rooyen takes a definite uncontested mark, kicks a goal. Pickett, uncontested mark, just missed his, but should have got a goal. At least make Melbourne earn their lead. And I'm starting to think that it might be me. Well, last week I was at the game on Sunday, and
you're looking internal now.
And yeah, I'm sorry, supporters. North Melbourne didn't kick a goal in the first half, and now we've got Hawthorn kicking 1 in the first half, albeit should have been a free kick anyway. So I think it might be starting to me. I might need a couple of weeks off. Just for the sake of the supporters, to get some good games of footy, because when I turn up, they stink.
It's bad news for anyone planning on going to the game tomorrow in Adelaide.
Yeah, I'm going to Adelaide tomorrow, so I apologise in advance.
Crows and the Saints tomorrow. Berkey's off to the City of Churches. Adam Romanascus.
I think it's easy to be critical of Hawthorn's kick-to-handball ratio. They've had more handballs than kicks in that quarter, but it's also a testament to Melbourne's defence, how they set up. So Hawthorn put their eyes up, and they see how structured defensively Melbourne are. Stephen May was terrific that first half with his intercept marking, his positioning. Hibbert was good. Lever had his moments, but they're so disciplined defensively, Melbourne, and I think that's been the cornerstone of their game now for a long time. And They're a system-based team. Simon Goodwin talks about that quite often. But the system starts in defence for Melbourne. When you can move and separate their defenders is how teams actually pick Melbourne apart. Hawthorn can't do that at the moment. They can't find a forward winner, albeit they've had 15 inside 50s for only 4 scoring shots. But they can't find a winner forward of the ball that's consistently going to get up and around, the wings and take those uncontested marks. Try set up then. Moving the ball forward, Melbourne haven't been great. They've had 35 inside 50s for 14 scoring shots. But while they've been moving the ball, Hawthorn have made them look better because they haven't closed up those gaps inside their forward 50. So marks inside forward 50 for Melbourne today have been uncontested, which as a defender and as a coach of Hawthorn, that's what you just can't give up. That you can't give up those little holes inside your forward 50 and make it easy for the forwards. Like Brodie Grundy's will go down as a contested mark when he kicked that goal, but it was pretty uncontested. There wasn't a lot of pressure on Brodie Grundy when he took that mark. So I would love to see Hawthorn strip it back in this second half. Let's take away this zone defence that they're trying to play, and let's strip it back to man on man. You're responsible for your man. You stop your man and go from there because. They're having a poor day kicking. They've kicked it at 47% for the half. The AFL average is 67%, so they're 20% below the AFL standard. And
if you're a Hawthorn supporter, Sam Mitchell can come out and go, look, that's the way we want to play. We want to develop that zone, all that sort of stuff. But you owe something to your fans. This is your home ground here. This stadium is 80% full of your supporters. They want to see a man-on-man tough fight contest and show something. And
turn the game into a scrap.
Yeah, they couldn't care less if you're working on a zone defence and that's what's going to be great in 5 years' time. Show some effort now. Find out who's willing to work and hurt and push that extra bit to stop their opponent from getting the ball.
It was 69 points last week against Fremantle, in which they prevailed over the Hawks. Their biggest loss so far this season has been 82 points at the hands of Geelong back in round 4, but it's looking ugly for the Hawks, with Melbourne having 14 shots from their 35 inside 50s, and they've taken, as Rama said, 13 marks inside 50 to Hawthorn's 1 from their 35 inside 50s. On the SMS, 0437 774 774. Happy birthday, Benny, from Kate and the boys in Palmyra. Does that sound right? He's giving me a nod like that's close enough.
Yeah, that's Palmyra.
I didn't realise you had such a big family, Ben.
Loving the call, boys. Listening in as I pump some iron in the home gym. Go Dockers. That's from Charlie.
You having an ice cream cake when you get home tonight for your birthday?
I'd love to. I'm going to go buy one of those little Freddo ice cream cakes.
One. Yeah, good.
Seems right in your wheelhouse. Evening team. Love the ABC call every Friday and Saturday night. Ben and I have something in common, although I imagine my 53 years is well ahead of his. Happy birthday, Ben. That's from Glenn in Hobart. Michael says it's a top AFL side in Melbourne playing basically a VFL side. It's only a matter of time where Hawthorn supporters will drop off attending. And Fran in Melbourne asks, do you have any family here, Ben? How are you going to celebrate? How are you enjoying being a Melburnian? He does now, so starting to feel like home.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I went out for breakfast this morning. My partner got in yesterday, so the house has got some flowers in it now. And some food in the fridge.
Always a good addition. And Scott says we might pose this after the ABC News. What's wrong with Hawthorn? Surely they're not that bad. Adam Ramanauskas and Nathan Burke will have a second crack at that. But for the moment, let's get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
Hello, this is ABC News with David Rowlands. Thousands of people have gathered in Hobart to protest plans to build a new multi-million-dollar stadium in Tasmania's south to facilitate the state's entry into the AFL. Erin Cooper-Douglas reports.
Stick your stadium up your bum.
The crowd on Hobart's Parliament House lawns were emphatic in their chants against the proposed $715 million roofed stadium. It's a condition of the state's successful bid to secure the 19th AFL licence and join the league in 2028. Independent Senator Jackie Lambie says too many Tasmanians are homeless.
But we can afford a
bloody stadium. Like hell we can.
Yesterday, 2 MPs quit the Liberal Party and moved to the crossbench, partially because of the proposal. Government Minister Felix Ellis says there'll always be opinions for and against, but they're committed to the project.
A search operation is continuing on South Australia's Eyre Peninsula for a missing 46-year-old surfer believed to have been killed in a shark attack. Late this morning, emergency services were called to Walker's Rock Beach near Elliston, around 650 kilometres away from Adelaide. They say the Elliston man was surfing when he was attacked. More than a dozen boats and jet skis are currently searching the water for the man's body. Local SES unit manager Trevlyn Smith says he believes there were a number of witnesses to the attack.
I'm hearing that there was something like 16 surfers in the water at the time, but I'm not sure about that. But there was obviously several people in the water, and from what I can hear, there were witnesses who saw evidence of it. Whether they saw it directly, but they definitely saw an evidence of something happening.
Police and protesters have clashed in fiery scenes in Melbourne CBD. Right-wing anti-immigration demonstrators were seen doing the Nazi salute on the steps of Parliament House. However, they were met by large crowds of counter-protesters and a heavy police presence. Vision of the protest shows police deploying capsicum spray on some demonstrators after projectiles were hurled between the two groups. Germany is set to make its biggest contribution yet to Ukraine's resistance of the Russian invasion since Moscow's troops crossed the border in February last year. Larry Buttrose has more.
The newspaper Der Spiegel is reporting the latest package of German military assistance for Ukraine is worth more than $4.5 billion. The military hardware Kyiv will receive includes dozens of tanks, infantry vehicles, anti-aircraft systems and hundreds of armoured logistics vehicles. The latest commitment of Western military aid comes as Ukraine claims advances on the battlefield in the bitterly contested ruins of Bakhmut. The head of the Wagner mercenary outfit says Russian frontline forces there have been routed. However, Moscow is framing it more as a tactical withdrawal.
Supporters of former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan are celebrating after his release on bail. Mr Khan was arrested last week in the capital Islamabad on corruption charges. That sparked violent protests and clashes with police and the security services. He's been greeted in his home city of Lahore by cheering crowds and fireworks. The candidates in Turkey's presidential elections have been appealing to voters in the final hours ahead of tomorrow's vote. The BBC's Ola Giran reports.
Recep Tayyip Erdogan is pulling all the levers to stay in power. He's just given public sector workers a 45% pay rise. But with official inflation running at 50%, it won't go very far. Turkey's NATO allies will be watching the election closely, and so will the Kremlin. Mr Kılıçdaroğlu has promised a pivot back to the West if he wins, though no Turkish leader can ignore Russia.
Brisbane's Lord Mayor says he'll provide $1 million to help turn a vacant quarantine hub into crisis accommodation. Peter Quattrochelli has the story.
The federal government's 500-bed facility in Pinkenba in Brisbane's northeast was completed in August last year. Lord Mayor Adrian Schrinner has been calling for it to be used to accommodate people sleeping rough. The federal government has previously said the site is too far from necessary support services and not suitable. But Adrian Schrinner has today announced he'll commit $1 million in next month's council budget to pay for modifications. He says the money could be used to install laundry facilities and provide council transport.
A spokesperson for the Federal Finance Minister says the government is willing to work with its state and local counterparts on the issue, but hasn't received a formal request to date. And that brings you up to date with the latest ABC News.
For extreme entertainment, stream comedy whenever you like on ABC iView. That's so cool. Extreme feel-goods with Ghosts, Ronnie Cheng International Student and Summer Love.
Never hold back, kids.
Extreme funnies from the Melbourne International Comedy Festival.
That means a lot.
And extreme good times with Starstruck, Peep Show and Fisk.
Why would you say that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's Extreme Comedy Gold.
So cool.
And you can stream it all for free on ABC iView. Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Hand pass out in front of Langdon. He tries to get the hand pass away to Bowie. Little fumble. Gets the hand pass now away to Sparrow. Wheels onto his right. Bangs it towards goal. And straight through the middle. Mitch Lewis will take it if he can get Hawthorn's first goal. Directly in front, 35 metres out, he comes in and puts Hawthorn on the board. 10 minutes into the second quarter. The Melbourne's second goal of the quarter, Grundy comes in and joins the growing list of goal kickers. Jacob Van Rooyen comes in and becomes the 7th individual goal kicker for Melbourne. The Demons are doing as they please.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
And now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Half-time at the MCG, Melbourne leading Hawthorn by 45 points, 6:54 to the Hawks 139, in which Harrison Petty has 2 goals and the Hawks have just the 1 goal next to their name to the main break. Matt Clinch alongside Ben Cameron calling the action. Kes Peterson down the boundary, Adam Ramanauskas and Nathan Burke are your experts. Stephen May did a television interview as he walked off the ground at half-time. He said, Rama, I reckon we got a little Hollywood at the end of that first half, so feeling like the Demons are potentially just taking the game at their peril as they see fit. In the earlier matches, Fremantle by 17 points over the Sydney Swans, so that's back-to-back wins for the Dockers. They kicked 10 of the last 18 goals of the match. 16-17, 101 to the Swans, 13-8, 86. Lockie Schultz led the way with 4 goals and Luke Jackson with 3. While Port Adelaide by 70 points over North Melbourne, 20-15, 135 to the Roos, 10-5, 65. With Jeremy Finlayson booting 3 goals, 5. Port Adelaide's biggest score since 2006. And tonight, from Docklands in Melbourne, another roof, a big match between Carlton and the Western Bulldogs, and the Brisbane Lions and Essendon from the Gabba. There's no shortage of other sports taking place across the weekend. Don't forget, ABC is your socials on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all the team that does a great job there. In the early match, it was the South Sydney Rabbitohs who defeated the West Tigers 20 points to 0. And in the match currently taking place at the moment, it's the North Queensland Cowboys leading St George Illawarra 12 points to 6 through 23 minutes. Coming up tonight, the Canberra Raiders taking on the Parramatta Eels. And don't forget, just where you can find the home of AFL in 2023, just click on the ABC Listen app and look for the AFL logo. You can also find all of the NRL matches as well. So it is becoming a sporting haven. And, of course, the Test cricket coming up later on in the year. Nathan Burke, Adam Ramanauskas, the Demons make their way out onto the ground. Hawthorn not too far behind them. The question was posed just before the news, are Hawthorn really that bad?
Yep. Simple answer. Look, no, they're not, because I went down to Tasmania and saw them play Adelaide, and we know Adelaide can play some pretty good football, and they potentially could have, should have won that game, and they stayed in that game through intense defensive effort. They really rattled Adelaide, and Adelaide's kicking efficiency and their ball movement was really stifled purely through the intensive defensive efforts of Hawthorn, and that's what I was hoping I was going to see today. I didn't think they're going to win the game, but at least give themselves an opportunity by being hard and tough. And what we saw at that game down in Tas against Adelaide, we've seen the complete opposite here today. So when we say, are they bad, are they this and that, well, it's hard to tell when the effort to actually play both sides of this game is completely lacking. So hopefully that is what they get back to at half-time. It doesn't make for pretty football, but it's certainly, if I'm a Hawthorn supporter, that's what I want to see. And really interesting comments from Stephen May going off, and I think he's right. They got a little bit Hollywood there in that second quarter. Sometimes that happens because you've got too many options and you start to take some fancy ones, and that's what Hawthorn were giving them. They were giving the play with the ball too many options, and sometimes they can take that extra step, do something a little bit more than the simple, and it came off a couple of times, didn't in a couple of times. So I'm pretty sure that would be Melbourne's message in the rooms at halftime, because it is a bit of a mind game for them as well. They've kept the other team to 9 points in the first half. What are they thinking? Is it going to be easy? Don't fall into their trap. This is our chance to get a bunch of percentage. There's a lot of things that Simon Goodwin will have going through his head to keep them focused.
Well, I think it's the percentage conversation, which particularly keeping to Hawthorn to the score that they are at the moment. You'll want to try to gain as much as you possibly can at this time of the year. When we're getting towards the middle of the year now, any percentage gain is critically important. So I think that would be where Melbourne's messaging was. I think it's interesting, isn't it? Like, that's the little discipline of Melbourne for Stephen May to say, yeah, we're a bit Hollywood. Like, your team's winning by, 45 points. 45 points there. That's just the intensity that, these teams have got to have. This is where Hawthorn need to get to. So, what's the message from Sam Mitchell in the rooms? It's got to be about showing more intent to defend.
Feels like there's some areas of their system that needs to be addressed as much as their intent, to be perfectly honest. We spoke a bit about Carlton on the lead earlier today. If you missed that with Noah Bolter and Mason Cox, it's under the best of ABC Sport, where you can get your podcast from. Another chapter's going to be written in the Father-Son tonight as well, Berkey. So looking to see the debutant of James O'Donnell, who makes his debut, the son of Simon.
Son of Simon, yes. Obviously, for those who don't know, that obviously know Simon as a cricketer, but did pull on the boots for the Mighty Saints back in the day. Grandfather played VFL football as well, so third generation O'Donnell, but he's only been at the club for like 35 days. He's a Cat B rookie coming into the team, and he's probably thinking, I'll ply my trade in the VFL for the rest of this year and hopefully get upgraded next year. And here he is, 35 days later, he's making his debut. Fantastic.
And that video when he rang to tell his family, they couldn't believe he was playing, and neither could he. Melbourne by 45 points as we're set to get the second half underway. Here's Ben Cameron on ABC Sport.
So it is the D's leading by 45 points. The Rucks go at it, both Meek and Grundy. Neither decisive. Picking it up Day. Handball away to Newcomb. Handball to Meek, who eventually parries it back to Newcomb. He'll run a little arc. Feed a handball out towards the wing. Bramble the sub. He'll kick long inside 50 for the Hawks. Looking for Bruce. Protects the space and takes the mark in the right forward pocket.
A much better entry inside forward 50 for Hawthorn to start with. It's deeper. So it allows your forwards then to find that space that they do need, and Bruce takes a really good mark.
He's going to snap on the left and bend it home truly. Hawks with the first goal of the second half after they only kicked one in the first half. Melbourne 8-6-54 plays 2-3-15, less than a minute into this second half.
But also a bit of run and carry as well from that half back line. So Newcomb wins that ball, and then it's Bramble flying off half back to get that handball received. Takes the space in front of him, and as mentioned, gets it deep inside forward 50. So a nice little start for the Hawks.
Kez Peterson alluded to Melbourne's sub before half-time. Kez, they've actioned that?
Yeah, they have, thanks, Clinchy. So Harry Petty's out with a right foot concern. As I said, it plagued him most of that first and second quarters. So James Jordan has entered the game at the start of this second half.
Thanks, Kez. Onto the wing alongside Carl Amon. Hawthorn with the first goal of the second half. Their first goal came at the 10-minute mark of the second quarter through Mitch Lewis. Inside a minute of the third. In the middle of the ground. Awkward one for Nash as Sparrow charged into him. Sparrow seems to have brushed off the contact below the knee. He's a bit worse for wear, and Nash slowly gets to his feet. Umpire tosses it in the air. Grundy wins down the tap against Meek. Straight to Oliver. Ricochets off Lloyd Meek. Out towards Sparrow. Nash gathers for the Hawks. Gets the hand pass away to Weddle. Tucks the footy under his arm. Looks up towards half forward. High kick inside 50. Mitch Lewis can't get there. Lands in front of he and Koschitzky. McVie knocks it back to Bowie. Under pressure as he's tackled by Butler. Just dropped the footy. Umpire calls play on. Trying to rip it away is McKenzie. Brayshaw for Melbourne. Gets the hand pass away. Jordan drives it up to the wing. Van Rooyen's worked underneath. And Frost in game 150 takes the mark for the Hawks. Centres the ball into the middle of the ground for Harry Morrison.
Morrison looks inside 50, goes long towards a warm sort of spot. Hibberd fists it down. Brayshaw can't quite gather it. Goes again at ground level. Right forward pocket here for the Hawks. It spits out. Not to the boundary. Umpire says spin it in. Hawks have come out with a little bit of life after half-time.
Oh, he got away with one there, Brayshaw. Deliberate aura throw.
Forward 50 stoppage here for the Hawks. Meek and Grundy. Grundy knocks it down towards Oliver. Gets a handball out. Now live footy McKenzie. Out towards Nash. Handball to Moore. He'll snap it back towards full forward. Through the hands there of Mitchell. Coming through Butler. Now they try and follow up. Eventually it spits out. McKenzie. He'll snap towards goal and put it through. The Hawks have come out with life after half-time. They've doubled their tally of goals in the first half, inside 3.5 minutes of the third term. Melbourne 8-6-54, Hawthorn 3-3-21 here on Grandstand AFL.
Well, it's not fancy, Rammer. It's just fighting hard for the football. Scrapping, and Melbourne a couple of times were in the box seat, but the Hawks pounced on them, kept the ball alive inside their forward line, and a really good snap by the young fella. But that's the first time we've really seen that sort of endeavour and intent to keep the ball inside their forward 50, and they got great reward from it.
16 disposals to 4, 3 inside 50s to none. Where's this Hawthorn side been? 2 goals to start the second half. Umpire bounces the ball back in the middle of the MCG. Grundy up against Meek. It spills the way of Newcomb. Hand pass to Day. Chance for another clearance for the Hawks. Drives it long inside 50 towards Kaczynski. Got hands to it. Couldn't pull it down. Brayshaw for Melbourne. Hand pass to Bowie. Drops it onto his boot. Kicks up towards Chandler. Jarman Impey worked him underneath it. Picked up by Day. Hand pass away to Weddle. Works it back to Day. Ducked the Petrarca tackle. All of a sudden more intent from Hawthorn. Hand pass to Nash. Back to Weddle. Drives it inside 50. Kaczynski's there. Lewis tried to fly from the back. Keeping his footing was Hunter. He eventually got it away to Brayshaw, and Bowie around the body, but only as far as Weddle. Right on 50 for the Hawks.
It's the first time the Melbourne defenders have been
under pressure.
Just banging the ball back out.
Josh Weddle hasn't kicked a goal yet. He veers out to the right. He wants to go for it. And away it goes. Arms outstretched. That sails straight through the middle. And here they come. The Hawthorn players from everywhere to celebrate the opening 3 goals of the second half, and they've arrived at the MCG. Be it a half late. Melbourne's lead is cut back to 27 points. 8-6-54 to the Hawks, 4-3-27. 5.5 minutes gone, third term on ABC Sport. And for Josh Weddle, the 18-year-old, the Hawks traded back into the first round to get him. Pick 18, 2022. He has his first goal in AFL footy.
Yes, and congratulations to him with that first goal. Always a special feeling, but there's a bit of life in this game. There's a bit of life in the crowd now. You know, the Hawthorn supporters are starting to see something that they like and that they can cheer about. So you need that. You need that atmosphere and environment, and it's excitement. It's exciting for the Hawthorn players.
Been goalless in 5 of their 8 third terms this year, the Hawks, and they've kicked 3 goals in 5 minutes here.
They mucked up their 6-6-6.
Got a little warning. Now the umpire puts it aloft. Gawn down to Pickett. Handball away to Petrarca. Gawn saw in the middle. Might have been in the unmentionables as the long kick inside 50. The mark taken by Sicily in defence for the Hawks.
I think Berkey trying to spell it out for us. Nash at half-back. Hand pass to Day. Trying to find a way past Rivers. Back to Nash. Almost run down by Pickett. Hand pass to Sicily. Into the middle of the ground for Big Lloyd Meek. Ran out of room. Turns it over. Viney for Melbourne takes it back. Kicks off the outside of the boot. Out towards Sparrow at left half forward. Cuts away from Morrison. Hand pass inboard to Pickett. Works it into the left forward pocket for Fridge. Sidesteps Morrison. Centering ball. Oliver O'Gorn. It's knocked away. Getting back there was Butler. Van Rooyen, half pass to Clary, and Clayton Oliver dribbles it through. His 50th goal in AFL footy, and the response Melbourne needed after Hawthorn kicked the first 3 goals of the third quarter. 4 goals in 7 minutes, and the Demons lead by 33 points. 9-6-60 to the Hawks, 4-3-27. Nathan Burke and Adam Romanascus with you on ABC Sport.
Van Rooyen, I really like the poise that he shows when he goes into the footy. He's taken a couple of marks, but they're all very well balanced. He gets himself in a really strong position, the ball coming straight at his face. And that one there, he knew what he wanted to do with it. He ran into the bouncing ball. He knew he had Oliver there to handball the ball to him. He didn't fumble. Bang. Quick hands, snap for goal, and really well done. So when you've got forwards who can be that double threat, I can mark it in the air, but I'm equally good on the ground. They're worth gold, and he's certainly showing some great form.
Crooked bounce in the middle. The umpire wanted to let it go. Eventually brings it back. 8th individual goal kicker for Melbourne, Clayton Oliver. Harry Petty with the only multiples. Meek knocks it down from the ball up. Petrarca picks it up off the ricochet. Handball almost stolen by Day. Keeps going after it. Eventually No, doesn't pick it up in the end. He's still going, but Viney gets it for the D's. Kick ricochets back to him. Now Warple for the Hawks. Handball away to Moore, then Meek. He'll kick long inside, attacking 50. Trying to find Kazitsky. Lever spoils it down. Newcomb follows up, loses it under pressure. Rivers can pick it up. Handball away towards a teammate in Hunter, who's pretty content to see it out. And a throw in at right half forward for the Hawks. Melbourne with the last goal, but Hawthorn with the first 3 of this second half. Melbourne by 33.
Henry and Melbourne pointing out Josh Weddle and Cam Mackenzie both with their first goal in AFL footy. The Hawks with the first 4 clearances of this third term. Nash trying to get an inside 50. His hand pass picked off by Oliver, sends it up to the wing. Juggling it was Mitchell, couldn't take it for the Hawks. Bramble has a go at it. Hand pass never got to Day. Petrarca tries to knock it on to Spargo. Sliding in is Jaff for the Hawks. He tries to knock it forward to Nash. He's tackled and brought down by Hunter. Was that a dangerous tackle? Umpire says it was over the shoulder. And Hawthorn will get the free kick at right half forward. Connor Nash will take it.
Yeah, great intent by the Hawks. They were losing all of those ground ball scraps in that first half.
The Irishman sends Hawthorn inside 50. Koschitzky's there, Meek at the back, can't take the mark. Spills to Bowie, clearing kick up towards halfback. Mitchell cannons in to Hunter. It's stopped down the way of Spargo. He tries to break off the tackle. Good intent in the end from Bramble. Hard against the boundary line. Van Rooyen for Melbourne. Hand pass to Oliver. Up the wing towards Fridge. Hardwick's in front for the Hawks. Hand pass back to Jaff. He gathers for Hawthorn's centre wing southern side.
Jaff's kick, a shocker, a turnover. Neil Bullen can't take the mark but can follow up in time. Handball to Petrarca, to Rivers. Kicks up the middle. Mark taken by Langdon. He thinks about moving it on, decides against it. Mark set 47 metres out.
It was a really poor decision by Jaff. Just that kick was not on going back into the middle of the ground. Neil Bullen easily intercepted that ball.
So Ed Langdon. Man on the mark, 47 out. He'll lark out to the right, get right to the paint of 50, drive it on goal, and right through the middle. Melbourne have answered the Hawthorn call. Back-to-back majors after the Hawks kicked the first 3 after half-time. It's back to 39 points, 10-6-66, plays 4-3-27, Melbourne lead. Just over 11 minutes into the second half.
That's what happens, Berkey. Well, I think in modern day football, teams sweat on turnovers. Once they do win that turnover, you just see the spread and the run. From Melbourne, there was space that just opened up everywhere inside their forward 50. Petrarca again involved just with his work rate. Beautiful kick by Trent Rivers going inside forward 50, and then a good finish by Langdon, but it's just the Jaff decision to come back into the middle of the ground that was wrong.
7 of Melbourne's 10 goals have come from turnovers.
Yep.
And that is the challenge when you're a young and inexperienced side. Grundy wins down the tap for Melbourne to Jordan. Hand pass to Viney. Feeds it out to Hunter on the southern wing. Cuts back inboard. Spots Grundy free. Takes the mark still inside the centre square. Has Brayshaw on the overlap. Hand passes out wide. Out to Petrarca. He marks hard out to the right. 55 metres out from home. He veers out to the right and wants to try and send it towards the teeth of goal. Bailey Fritsch is outnumbered and Lloyd Meek punches it through for a minor score. Taking no chances, the Hawthorn ruckman, with Ned Reeves a late out ahead of today's match. Melbourne leading by 40 points at the 13-minute mark of the third term.
Hardwick's kick in, short up the middle. I've got to find Newcomb. Melbourne with the last 2 goals of the game. Newcomb sends it out towards right half back. Impey can mark and go for a little run. Takes a bounce. Now he'll chip it short. Hawks queuing up on the logo. Bruce marks. Nothing he likes immediately, so backpedals. Southern side of the ground here for Luke Bruce. Triple premiership player. Kicks up towards half forward. Day can't mark. Mackenzie gathers at ground level. Gives it off to Impey. Drives it long towards full forward. Big Lloyd Meek is down there. He bowls over Ed Langdon and stands tall and marks.
Good work from the big fella.
It is. And you can't blame Ed Langdon. The work rate that Ed Langdon shows as a winger to get there to try to defend is outstanding. But I think it's Grundy in the ruck at the moment. He just wasn't there. He wasn't with Lloyd Meek in that situation, and virtually an uncontested mark for the big fella.
Mark set 25 out, directly in front. Meek comes in and pops it through. Just his second goal in Hawks colours. Their fourth of this third term. They're 5-3-33. Melbourne still leading by 34 points, 10-7-67 as we approach the quarter-hour mark of the third term.
It's amazing what happens when you're just prepared to work hard. Lloyd Meek was the one who actually rushed the ball through down at the other end. The ball goes from there, kick out, all the way up to the other end, about 15 metres out from goal, and he's the one taking the mark. So obviously he's pushed himself, he's ran hard to get forward of the footy, be a target inside that forward line after being in the defensive 50. You work hard and you make things happen. What he did then was he made something happen by just pushing from one end of the ground to the other, and hopefully it's a lesson that they can all take on board.
4-2, Hawthorn's way in this third term. Back in the middle of the ground, Newcomb trying to get the clearance, cut away from Viney, back edge of the centre square, centering kick to Bramble. He works it out onto the members' side, puts it out in front of Butler. Heavy contact came from Rivers late, it was illegal. And the eyes of the umpire and over the shoulder. Sam Butler between wing and half forward on the members' side. He turns and chips it back into the middle of the ground. Jaff takes the mark. Wheels onto his right, not the best kick for Hardwick. He gathers on the half volley. He switches all the way out to the southern side where Mitchell can take the mark. He looks to work it further afield with a chip kick over the top to Jarman Impey. So they've worked it from the members' side to the southern side, but they're no closer to goal. With Melbourne, everyone bar the two players in the forward half in front of him. Works it back to Mitchell. Got it from Jarman Impey, 75 metres out from home. Mitch Lewis on the lead, it's over his head. Bounces off Bruce's chest. Jack Viney for Melbourne, hand pass away to Rivers, to Oliver, to Grundy. 25 metres out from his defensive goal. Moore tackled Oliver, don't think he got a boot to ball. Play on's the call. Viney's hand pass to Oliver, he lays the tackle, spills to Bruce. Surely he was taken high. The umpires have swallowed their whistle and they'll ball it up. 25 metres out from the Hawthorn goal.
You got Michael Hibbert come flying through like Superman there and bowled over the Hawthorn player, but no free kick.
Loose footy going after it. There is Butler. Is there a free kick?
Below the knees.
It's going to go the way of the Hawks. And Butler will get it.
I think it was Lockie Hunter diving on the football, but collected the knees of the Hawthorn player.
Yep. So the mark set right at the top of the goal square. Butler will be directly in front and should kick the Hawks' fifth of this third term. He does. A much improved showing in this third term from this young Hawthorn side. It's back to 28 points. It was 45 at the half. Melbourne 10-7-67. Hawthorn 6-3-39. 17 played third term.
It's amazing. The kicking efficiency's flipped in this quarter. So Hawthorn are kicking the ball at 83%, getting reward for that with the 5 goals. Melbourne are only going at 56%. So they're Hawthorn with the pressure that Berkey's been talking about. It's forcing Melbourne into error by foot, which then in turn is allowing Hawthorn to get on the move and start to run and start to create and use their foot skills. So big change for the Hawks in this quarter.
Adam Romanascus with you on ABC Sport. Earlier today, Fremantle by 17 over Sydney. Port Adelaide by 70 over North Melbourne. The Hawks with 5 goals straight to Melbourne's 2-1 in this third term. Gawn gets the clearance, sends it towards half forward. Impey can't take the mark. Neil Bullen knocks it onto Oliver, trying to link up with Petrarca at half forward. Nash right there with him. Viney sliding in aggressively. Somehow got it to Petrarca. Works it forward and Neil Bullen. Hardwick coming the other way. They collide. Oliver Atopo to the goal square. Grundy drags down Frost. Pickett trying to knock it onto Spargo. He's tackled and dispossessed. Bramble for the Hawks on the last line. Knocks it to Jaff. He's tackled. And the umpire will ball it up. Right forward pocket for the Demons. At the city end, 18 minutes gone, third term.
Grundy knocks it down, straight to Oliver. Somehow gets a handball away. Jaff will parry it down in the end. Frost, a little clearing kick. Day comes up with it. Here go the Hawks. Impey receives the handball. Long kick to the wing. And only Max Gorney's there. He marks for the D's. He'll kick backwards towards May. He'll send it out towards the southern wing. Brayshaw can mark. Kick the D's forward of the wing. Judd McVie. He'll chip it on. And Neil Bullen can run on and mark. Up at high half forward for the D's.
Demons by 28 points. They did get it out as far as 44 points as the kick inside 50. Fridge up with one arm. Can't take the mark. Pick it through traffic. Tackled and brought down. Jacob Kaczynski lays the tackle. And Hawthorn are trying to take the advantage, but it's not paid. So the footy has to come back. And Kaczynski will take it.
It's bad luck for the Hawks then, because they were out. They had to let them play on.
Switches the play to the left back pocket, where Weddle takes on the game. And Grundy, not a great hand pass in the end. Mitchell's hand pass missed Bramble, and now Petrarca spins out of traffic with the footy in his hands, drives it to a vacant goal mouth. Cozzy Pickett racing back, he's got it in front of the left goal post, steps out and bangs it into the second tier. Cozzy Pickett with his first, and Melbourne answer back. It's a 34-point lead the Demons' way. Christian Petrarca so good out of traffic. 11-7, 73 to the Hawks, 6-3, 39. 20 minutes gone, third term on ABC Sport.
Part of that occurs because young Weddle, who has had a pretty good game, he comes running out of his half-back line, has a bounce. He looks up the ground and he sees Carl Amon as being the target for a long kick down the ground. He says, well, that's probably not going to work. And you look up, you've got Mitch Lewis, who was on the other side of the ground and still on the other side of the ground after the ball had been switched across. That's what we're talking about. You've got to work hard for your teammates. And because they didn't work hard up the field, poor young Weddle had to try and invent something which didn't quite come off, and Melbourne get a goal back the other way. So Hawthorn forwards, get on your bike, work a bit harder, especially the big fellas.
Gawn takes it out of the ruck. Kick inside attacking 50 for the D's. Sicily can't mark, spills out to Oliver, who's followed up. Nash knocks it down in the end, straight to Sicily. McKenzie kicks the Hawks back into the middle of the ground. Gawn's there, knocks it down again. Rivers, handball looking for Langdon, no good. Morrison comes in. He drags it under, eventually May knocks it out. Langdon there for the D's. Handball away to Gawn, to Sparrow, and back to Langdon. Running forward of the wing, chipping it towards Pickett! Oh, Cozzy going upstairs, can't quite complete it. There to mop up Sicily. Back to Morrison, and the Hawks with it across halfback.
Weddle looking for options. Hand pass forward to Carl Amon. Almost run down by Petrarca. Cuts past him. Drives it straight down the middle. Not a great kick down low for Rivers. He takes the mark and hit the turf. Warple comes charging at him. Lays the tackle, but it's over the shoulder. Melbourne get out of trouble with the free kick. Rivers with the hand pass to Brayshaw, back edge of the centre square, sends it long towards Petrarca. Impey rises in front, knocks it to his own advantage, coming the other direction, great intent from Viney, knocks it forward to Petrarca, ricochets off his boot to Frost. Hawthorn at halfback, hand pass away to Impey, sends it towards Wingard, one-on-one with McVie. McVie taps it down to Lever. Melbourne at halfback clear, hand pass to Brayshaw, out wide to Jordan, who has it at right halfback for the D's.
Jordan zigs and zags, kick partially smothered. Jaff knocks it down for the Hawks on the wing. He goes after it, right there with him, Oliver. He puts it on the ground, Jaff, and slaps it out to Sicily. Holding free kick. Sicily, the firebrand, gets up and gives Grundy a little whack in the chest. The free kick will come back. Melbourne by 34.
Well done in then by Grundy. He held up the whole play and allowed every Melbourne player to get in front of the footy.
Sicily thinks about going backwards. Eventually from the logo goes long inside 50, trying to get it to Lewis, spoiling it away May. Hunter close to the boundary line. Handball charged down, knocked out. Throw in at the 50 in the boundary line, left half forward here for the Hawks. Melbourne by 34.
Hawthorn with 5-3 in this third term to bring the game to life. Grundy wins down, Gawn wins down the tap against Meat. Spills away a Bramble, dribbling kick into the corridor for Hardwick, trying to make it work with a hand pass to Meat. Melbourne have the numbers. Neil Bullen with a hand pass away. Sparrow's kick never got to Van Rooyen, and Hardwick takes the intercepting mark. Left half forward for the Hawks. He's got Mitch Lewis deep. If he can get it to him, he wheels onto the right, sends it in that direction. Gawn sets himself in front. It's through his fingertips. Trickles towards the behind line and now across. Melbourne by 33 points. 24 minutes gone, third term on ABC Sport.
Stephen May to take the kick, playing game 200. The coin toss for the D's earlier today. %41% of his disposals this year have come from kick-ins. Here's another one. Might get 50 as well.
I think Luke Bruce ran off the mark slightly before the umpire had said play on.
So May will be marched to the defensive edge of the square. These by 33. Every player bar Michael Hibbert in front of him now. Eventually he'll drive it long up the middle. In the Gawn direction. Meek there with him. Meek hands to it. Doesn't complete the mark. Knocked away. Spills to Fritsch. Ever the opportunist. He snaps on goal and misses. Across the face. A minor score. 11-8-74 Melbourne. 6-4-40 Hawthorn. Back out to 34 points.
Well, Fritsch looked like taking the game apart in that first 10 minutes of the game, but it's been a little bit quiet since.
Hardwick straight down the middle to Carl Lamont. Chips it over the top by foot and finds Wingard. Out past to Jaff, who's been on the wing in this third quarter. He looks to try and work it up to Warple. And left half forward, options inside 50. Mitch Lewis and Proust. And Lewis marks on his chest in the left forward pocket in front of Jake Lever.
That's good ball movement. They take the ball back through the middle of the ground. Allows options for your forwards. Most defenders like to play in front. So they give you that little bit of space behind there. As the ball was moving, Mitch Lewis just continued to move back to keep that space between himself and Lever. It was a good kick in the end by Warple.
Kicked the Hawks' first goal of the match in the second quarter. Looking for his second and Hawthorn's sixth of the quarter. Out to the left from 45 metres out. It's left all the way. And through for a minor score. Melbourne by 33 points. 25 minutes gone, third term.
Already Hawthorn's highest scoring term this season. Haven't kicked 6 goals in a quarter this year yet as May goes short to Hibbert, longer to the wing now. Sicily doesn't complete the mark, follows up by piling in on top of his opponent. Early Fritsch, usually well manicured hair, a little ruffled as he gets to his feet and runs off. And the subsequent ball up, knocked away into the path of Hunter, shovels a handball forward looking for Oliver, close to the boundary line. It's out and will go again on the southern wing. Hawks kicking 5 goals in this third term after just 1 in the first half. Still the D's by 33.
Floodlights on at the MCG, thrown back in, it bounces off Gawn's chest, out the way of Hunter, he's dragged off it. A chance for Hawthorn, although Nash has to have a second go at it. Trying to knock it to Will Day. Now the hand pass to Newcomb. A bit more space opens up. Hand passes inboard. Works it to Hardwick and now to Jarman Impey. Off the instep. Spots Carl Lamont on the members' side. Hawthorn have built this nicely. Now kicks looking for Mitch Lewis. Just wide of him. Stephen May gets a fist onto it. Sees it out of play under the Olympic stand. Hawthorn 45 metres out from their goal with Melbourne leading by 33 points.
Should have got a free kick. Mitch Lewis. Stephen May was holding initially when he started on that lead. Umpires have got to pick those ones up.
Toss back into play. Gawn and Meek. Gawn slaps it down at the advantage of Petrarca and then knocked forward by Sparrow. Back with the traffic as Will Day. Took the tackle and got the hand pass away to Hardwick. Hand pass to McKenzie. Centering kick. It finds Harry Morrison. He looks inside 50. Can't quite get it to Bruce. And Clayton Oliver takes the intercepting mark for Melbourne.
Here go the D's up the middle. Chandler receives it. Kicks out in front of Fritsch. He'll have to gather on the bounce. A clean bowls him. Skids right by him. Frost is there. Fritsch pushes him out of the way. Picks up the footy at half forward. Goes towards Van Rooyen. Big leap. Unable to take the mark. Here's Amon. He brings it to ground though. Loose footy. Spits out to Chandler. Pushed off his kick. Umpire lets them play. Sicily picks it up. Morrison, look out. Carried out in the Pickett tackle. Umpire says throw it in. And it was all happening in the left forward pocket. Carl Amon with a massive set on Van Rooyen. Just couldn't quite bring it down.
He almost had a specky, almost a great tackle, almost a goal.
Now he's in the ruck here. It lands short of he and Meek. Petrarca's onto it. Steps towards goal. Frost gets back there. He parries it over the goal line when he could have just taken the mark. So it's a minor score. Melbourne by 33 points, approaching 29 minutes gone, third term.
Fitting we got an almost goal at the end of it, Berkey.
And almost a mark. Don't try and read into what Frosty's thinking on the goal line.
Aim on. Nowhere to get it. At left half back. May coming one way, Mackenzie the other. May brings it to ground. Mackenzie gets it. Handball to Wingard. Slaps it down to Nash, to Impey. Handball away to Newcomb. Handball to Moore. 51 out. Looking for a leading Bruce. In front of him, Hibbard. Spoils it down, Bruce. Wingard onto it. Wants his left. Handball to Mackenzie. Handball away to Wingard. Time to stop. Prop. And misses the lot.
Did all the hard work, Chad Wingard.
He found the space. He just couldn't finish. Out of bounds on the full.
He went to drop punt. Yeah. He just didn't have his momentum going forward. Leant back and tugged it out of bounds. He probably would have been better off just going for a little bit of a snap then.
Yep. Long out of defence for the Demons. Hibbert up towards Van Rooyen. Can't take the mark. Hand pass came forward to Viney. He's worked off it. Sicily got it to Nash. Hand pass to Jarman Impey. Middle of the MCG. What a great kick to aim on. He's caught behind as Langdon slides in front and takes the mark. Hand pass through the middle of the ground to Bowie. Looks out to the member side. Jordan's free. Can he gather it just inside the field of play? Weddle corrals him. Works it up by foot to Cozzy Pickett. He marks it right half forward for the Demons. Fritsch wants it deep in the right forward pocket. He centres instead. Looking down low for Jack Viney. Sliding on his knees as he takes the mark 50 out from home.
They're fortunate that Viney's taken the mark at 50 rather than Bailey Fritsch 15 metres out, because he was free. Bailey Fritsch, you are watching the Hawthorn defenders. They're all out on their feet at the moment. They've run extremely hard this quarter, their defenders.
Yeah, Melbourne ended up going sideways rather than straight forwards. They had it gone straight forward, they're in strife.
He is taking the full 30 seconds, Jack Viney, with a lot of breaths. One goal already. He'll put it to the teeth of goal. Gawn's there. Got a hand to it. It's rushed through by Weddle with some support from Mitchell. And a minor score for the Demons. 35 points is their lead. 31 minutes gone. Third term on ABC Sport.
Mitchell with the kick in. Along towards Sicily. Marks on his chest at left half back.
Takes a long time with the ball in hand sometimes, Sicily.
Eventually, he'll kick towards the logo through the hands of May. Hibbert at the back. Somehow knocks it out. Jordan picks it up for the D's. Handball to Oliver. Handball away to Langdon. Kicks to half forward. Fritsch marks. Wants to wheel and go. Looking for a target. Coming across. Unable to take the mark. Chandler. Newcomb mops up. And the siren sounds as Hawthorn win the third term. But still trail by 35 points at three-quarter time. Melbourne 11-10-76 to Hawthorn 6-5-41. The goal kickers, 10 individual goal kickers for Melbourne. Petty with a couple, Pickett, Sparrow, Langdon, Oliver, Gawn, Spargo, Viney, Grundy and Van Rooyen, the other goal kickers. Only singles for Hawthorn, Mitch Lewis, Lloyd Meek, Bruce, Mackenzie, Butler and Josh Weddle.
So Hawthorn only managed one goal for the first half. They kicked 5 goals in that third quarter and cut the deficit from 45 points at halftime to 35 points at three-quarter time. On the SMS, 0437 774 774. Mark and Mentone, love that classic commentary from Ben. He gets up and ruffles his well-manicured hair. Magic. I have no TV, so just going from radio, and I can picture the visual description. Great to have your company on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
ABC Listen. Rampaging Royce Laven and HG Nelson.
I note that some people don't use logbooks anymore.
What?
Yeah.
They don't know cos, sine,
cosine, cosine, cotan. They're all great.
Bludging on the blind side.
Why don't they do it?
I don't know.
Royal Commission. What happened to the logbook? I loved it. I used to open it up. Could we get Volandis to drag the logbook
kicking and screaming back into our universities?
Podcast available now on the ABC Listen app. Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
To Newcomb. Feed a handball out towards the wing. Bramble the sub. He'll kick long inside 50 for the Hawks, looking for Bruce. Protects the space and takes the mark in the right forward pocket. He's going to snap on the left and bend it home truly. Handball to Moore. He'll snap it back towards full forward. Through the hands there of Mitchell, coming through Butler. Eventually it spits out McKenzie. He'll snap towards goal and put it through.
Josh Weddle hasn't kicked a goal yet. He veers out to the right. He wants to go for it. And away it goes. Arms outstretched that sails straight through the middle. Pickett works it into the left forward pocket for Fridge. Sidesteps Morrison. Centering ball. Oliver O'Gorn. It's knocked away. Getting back there was Butler. Van Rooyen. Half pass to Clary. And Clayton Oliver dribbles it through.
Red Langdon. He'll lark out to the right, get right to the paint of 50, drive it on goal, and right through the middle. Mark set 25 out, directly in front. Meek comes in and pops it through.
Mitchell's hand pass missed Bramble, and now Petrarca spins out of traffic with the footy in his hands, drives it to a vacant goal mouth. Cozzy Pickett racing back, he's got it in front of the left goal post, steps out and banks it into the second tier.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
And now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Three-quarter time of the MCG. Melbourne leading by 35 points, 11-10, 76 to the Hawks, 6-5, 41. It's the fourth emergency services match between Melbourne and Hawthorn. Matt Clinch alongside Ben Cameron, Kez Peterson, Adam Ramanauskas and Nathan Burke. For the majority of our audience, our next stop will be under the roof at Docklands. It's Carlton taking on the Western Bulldogs. And to give us a glimpse of what's to come, it's a very good evening to Corbin Middlemass.
Thanks, Clinchy. It's another Carlton home game, so their fans are filling up Docklands again. Gee, they dirtied right up last week. Obviously, a large portion of them going home after three-quarter time in that loss to Brisbane on Friday night. Both these teams are in the 8. You wouldn't know it, given the narrative around the Carlton Football Club at the moment. They've hit the skids somewhat, having lost 3 of their last 4 games. While the Western Bulldogs, a little bit of a form reversal than what the Blues have experienced. They lost their first 2 games by 50+, and since then have won 5 of their last 6. So dovetailing into a Saturday night blockbuster under the roof at Docklands, the Blues and the Bulldogs. There's no late change. Ed Curnow is the sub for Carlton, and it's Lockie McNeil for the Western Bulldogs on Saturday night. Clinchy, I'll be joined by Jess Webster, Luke Ball, the game's record holder Brent Harvey and Andrew Mays for the call next.
Thanks, Colby. We look forward to joining you at the completion of this game, and for our listeners through Queensland, or if you want to listen to the Brisbane Lions game against Essendon, that's available under the AFL Extra button. Just click on that when you download the ABC Listen app, and there's a late change there with Massimo D'Ambrosio coming in to the selected side to replace Alwyn Davey Jr. Noah Answorth and Davey Jr. are the subs for that match. Nathan Burke and Adam Ramanauskas on what was a far more entertaining third term.
A much better term by the Hawks. Win the quarter 5 goals to 3. So 15 inside 50s. Better run from half-back with their handball. Start to open the game up. Start to take some risks. Give your forwards a chance. Hawthorn's pressure was much better. It forced Melbourne into turnover with their kicking. Melbourne's kicking was right down that quarter, only going at 61%. So that's credit to Hawthorn's pressure. But it's funny, when Melbourne needed a steadying goal, they were able to find one still. Albeit Hawthorn won the quarter, Melbourne still found a couple of those steadying goals.
Yeah, good teams do that. Much better quarter by the Hawks. A little bit concerned by their midfielders, whether this was an instruction at half-time, but Nash had 11, but 2 kicks, 9 handballs. Newcomb, 2 kicks, 7 handballs. Day, 1 kick, 8 handballs. They are very, very handball happy. Whether that's to just create something, get it running, I would prefer them to give their forwards better opportunities, and when that first player gets out and he's free, kick the ball forward.
Final term underway. As winning the tap down is Meek. Coming away with it, Warple. Handball away to Day. Little 1-2 with Nash. Oh, he falls over. Tackled by Neil Bullen. And caught holding the ball. He got the speed wobbles, Will Day. And Neil Bullen got him.
He fell over his own feet.
Neil Bullen's kick gives it a little too much air to Viney, but it just gets there under closing pressure from Amon. Viney with it on the wing. He's leading by 35 points. Viney's kick misses the target of Rivers. Out the back it goes. Kazitsky gives it off to a man running by in Newcomb, who drills it through the middle. And the Hawks start the final term like they started the second half with an early goal. They bring it back inside 5 goals. It's 29 points, 11-10-76. Play 7-5-47, less than a minute into the fourth.
Just a skill error, simple skill error from Jack Viney there. Just opens the door for Newcomb to kick a goal. They got a goal in the first minute in that third quarter, now a goal in the first minute of the final quarter. You don't see AFL players do that often, where they just completely miss the target, but that was simply what happened there with Jack Viney.
Can they?
I never say never in football, Berkey.
Well, if Melbourne keep kicking the ball, don't they? Certainly can.
6 goals to 3 in the second half, Hawthorn's way. They've looked a completely different side. As John Newcomb's on the board, back in the middle. Meek rises high, but it's Gorner gets the clearance, gets a hand pass forward. A chance for the Hawks, though. Bramble ran into his own teammate in Weddle, spills the way of Chandler. He drives a long kick towards full forward. Fritsch is there. Hardwick got rid of him, couldn't pull in the mark. He gathers on the behind line, though. Drives a kick out of defence up to left half back. Sparrow races after it. Bramble right there with him for company. Petrarca over around the footy. A chance for the Hawks through Day. Tries to knock it out to Bramble. Sliding in on his knees is Langdon. Hand pass to Petrarca of Melbourne. Kicks inside 50. Hardwick's there again. It bounces off his chest. He gathers just in the field of play. Hand passes on to Sparrow's boot. And it rolls over the turf in the eyes of the umpire rather than volleying over. Boundary throw in. Right forward pocket for the Demons. Melbourne by 29 points. 2.5 minutes gone. Final term.
Melbourne are the best final quarter team in the comp. They've won all 8 of their final terms. Van Rooyen knocking it down. Warple can't quite gather it. Oliver slung as he kicks towards the pocket. Langdon, did he mark it? No, says the umpire. Play on, gets a handball out. And Morrison slaps it through. A minor score. Back out to 5 goals neat. Here's Melbourne's lead.
As Hawthorn quickly bring it back into play. Up to Sicily, who takes the mark at left half back. 22 disposals going at 95%. Sends it up towards Bruce. Can't take the mark, southern wing. Melbourne through Hibbert, gathers. Out towards Van Rooyen, back with the flight. Can't take the mark, spoilt down by Sicily. Chandler takes it for Melbourne. Hand pass to Langdon. Fritsch leading into the pocket, can't get there as Mitchell gets a fist to it. Great hard running from the 20-year-old. Who got a hand onto it to spoil it out of play in the right forward pocket for the Demons. Melbourne by 30 points.
Great defending by Bowie up the other end as well. The kick favoured Bruce over the top, but he just used his body really well. Brought the ball to ground, maintained his feet, and drove the ball back inside 50.
Van Rooyen and Meek. Meek reaches over the top, brings it down to the front. Warple spinning out of trouble, gets a handball towards the boundary. And it'll go out. Another throw in. 5 goals, Melbourne's lead. Hawthorn with 3 of the last 4 goals in the game. Significantly improved after half-time. Meek and Van Rooyen. Van Rooyen to the front. Palms it down. McVee gets a handball out. Petrarca onto it. Gets it onto the boot. And Hardwick playing the role of goalkeeper. Marks in the defensive goal square for the Hawks.
Straight down the middle. Kicks looking for Nash. Couldn't gather. Onto it now is Rivers from 50. Loads up and goes back. 3 rows back behind the goal umpire. And that's the way you make a side pay with a poor skill execution. Trent Rivers is on the board and Melbourne lead by 36 points with a goal apiece so far in this final term. 12-11-83 to the Hawks, 7-5-47 on Grandstand AFL. You're with Adam Ramanauskas and Nathan Burke.
Kick was there, Burkey.
Yep, yeah, I love him taking that kick to Hardwick. He had Nash running through the 50. Ball just landed a couple of feet short. He couldn't gather it, and the goal at the other end. But it's risk and reward. If he marks that one, he keeps running. The ball's suddenly inside their forward 50, and that's the way you've got to play. You're not going to win this game, so at least try and kick some goals.
Should you be playing more conservative, though, when you're second one on the ladder? Or
No. That kick's there. You got to take it.
And that's what Sam Mitchell would show during the week. That sort of a kick, that's the way we need to play the game. That's how good sides play the game.
That's right.
Good sides don't play conservative.
That's right. It's just execution.
Bad bounce in the middle. Umpire puts it aloft. Both rucks jump early. Eventually Grundy out in front of Oliver. Coughs it up though. Day onto the footy. Run down there by Sparrow. Gets a handball away. Warple off a step. He'll kick towards half forward. Bouncing ball. Day's a little sore in the middle of the ground. Kazitsky trying to soccer it on the full. Straight into the shin of Jake Lever. And it tumbles out in the view of the umpire and a throw in. All Day back up and moving in the middle. Throwing right half forward here for the Hawks.
Still to come, Brisbane and Essendon from the Gabba. Carlton and the Western Bulldogs is our next stop on ABC Sport. Thrown back in. Grundy wins down the tap. Sparrow was held when not in possession. Melbourne take the advantage through Hunter. Hand pass to Clayton Oliver. Possession number 29 coming up with a hand pass to a stationary Grundy. Had to fend off Newcomb and back to Judd McVie at left half back. Not 15 to Rivers, so has to kick around the members' wing. Finds Christian Petrarca. Stepped off his line and played on. Centering kick into the corridor. Mark is taken by Sparrow. Trying to work it over the top to Hibbert. Cannon into it is Mitch Lewis. He wins it for Hawthorn. Can't get a hand pass to Butler. Hibbert somehow got it away to McVie. Kicks Melbourne inside 50 and Bailey Fritsch. All on his own. He marks hard out to the right. 45 metres out from goal.
Not quite sure how Bailey Fritsch finds himself all by himself inside 50. But he did.
Harrison Petty, the only multiple goal kicker for the Demons. Bailey Fritsch looking for his first, has two behinds next to his name. The Melbourne spearhead with number 31 on his back from just outside 50. Beautiful kick. Sails straight through the middle. He's on the board now. And Melbourne starting to maybe take control. With the last two goals of the match, the margin is out to 42 points. 13-11-89 to the Hawks, 7-5-47. 8 minutes gone, final term on ABC Sport.
Just that little handball by Hibbert there in the traffic. So it was a ball to be won. It was a 50-50 ball there, right on Melbourne's half forward flank. But then Hibbert attacked the ball first, picks it up, and then just a little sneaky handball to McVie. And McVie finds Bailey Fritsch. It's just that little bit more polish that Melbourne have had in this game, particularly. That's really shone through, I think.
12 individual goal kickers for Melbourne on the night. Grundy and Meek both with hands on it. Ends up in the arms of Meek. Gets a handball out. Eventually it ricochets back to him. Handball out towards Impey. He coughs it up. Hunter onto it to Pickett. Sweeps a handball for the D's to the wing. Rivers, neat kick. Finds the chest of Jordan just forward of the wing. D's by 42 points. Jordan with 23 on his back will go long towards full forward. Grundy goes up one-handed. Fritsch at ground level, loses it. Petrarca dancing. Kick smothered. Comes back to him momentarily. Then Sicily. A spiral out of the D50.
It bounces in front of Kazitsky and Lever. Kazitsky just slaps it forward, but Bowie will get there first. In front of Dylan Moore, who's had a quiet afternoon. Chips it to Rivers, who marks between wing and half forward for Melbourne. It's for options inside the forward 50. He works his way past Kazitsky, sends it towards Fritsch. Up, can't take the mark. Flying into Weddle. Petrarca running alongside the boundary. And eventually it goes out. Boundary thrown in the left forward pocket for the Demons. They lead by 42 points.
Forward 50 stoppage for the D's. Gawn hooking it to the back. There is Sicily though. Tumbles a kick out of defence for the Hawks. Oh, big collision. Lewis coming at the footy. Ball spills out. Hawks quickly back the other way. McKenzie. Handball away to Butler. Has Bruce. Only leave it back. Almost run down. He is run down.
It's a push in the back.
Not a tackle.
It's called holding the ball, but it wasn't really a tackle.
It's a push.
Yeah, you've got to tackle to get hold of the ball.
So Rivers will end up with the kick.
So Butler's gone to kick the ball, and Rivers has pushed him in the back.
The D's with it inside their defensive 50.
Angus Brayshaw has it for Melbourne. Straight down the middle to Alex Neil-Bullen. Back edge of the centre square. Returns it to Brayshaw. Half volley for Jordan, who hand passes back to Brayshaw. Third involvement as he gets past halfway. Kicks for Charlie Spargo, who just pushed off Jarman Impey. And with space in front of him, was able to take the mark down low. And a chance to shoot for his second. Out to the left, 50 metres out from home.
Slipped him there.
Yep. I really like football is when they come through the middle and they stay in the middle.
Yeah.
It annoys a lot out of me when they come through the middle and end up on the wing.
Charlie Spargo on the runway. Good kick. His second. And Melbourne are rolling again now. 48 points their lead. The last 3 goals in the match. 14-11-95 to the Hawks. 7-5-47. 12 minutes gone. Final term on ABC Sport.
Because I think there was a couple of times then when Brayshaw was coming through the middle. He did the old 1-2, got the ball back a couple of times, but he did glance sideways, try and get the short one out to the wing, maintain possession, but in the end he put himself under a little bit of pressure and had to go straight down the middle. And that's where Spargo had read the ball first, got to the mark and actually turns around and kicks a goal. But just seems to be something in modern day football that when you're in the corridor, you don't necessarily keep it in the corridor, and it's rather maintain possession out wide. Doesn't make sense to me.
Spargo, a 4th generation league footballer, joins Petty as a multiple goal kicker for the D's. Gawn takes it out of the ruck. Kick off the side of the boot out towards the wing. Going after it, Nash. Viney the other way. Wins it for the D's. Gets it on the left leg. Long kick inside 50. Sicily in front of Van Rooyen. Trying to pick it up, Hardwick. Coming in, Chandler. Goes low. Flicks it out. Viney emerges with it. Kicks on his right into the pocket. Tracking it back, Frost. He can't gather it. He skids into the behind post as well. And a throw in. The ball beat him there. And a deep forward 50 throw in for the D's. We've kicked the last 3 goals of the match. They're out by a game high 48 points.
Simon Goodwin down the boundary, looking pretty relaxed. The Demons have Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval next Friday night. Lloyd Meek tries to get a boot to it from the throw-in. He races after it, but it beats him across the boundary line. The Hawks take on the West Coast Eagles next week. So potentially 1 and 8. Could be the battle for 17th and 18th. Harley Reid Cup.
Seed for Reid.
That's a better ring. Thrown back in. Grundy knocks it over the back. Newcomb for the Hawks. Did Viney fall on his back? He's tackled by Heat, and Oliver, the umpire, says no. And we'll ball it up just 40 metres out from Melbourne's goal. The punt road in. The Demons by 48 points.
Umpire puts it up. Trying to knock it down, Meek. Following up, Grundy dribbles a kick forward. Handball out by Hardwick for the Hawks. Off to Amon. Hooks a kick back towards the wing. Unable to mark Mitch Lewis. Off hands. Winning it is Moore. Gives it back to Lewis. Now McKenzie for the Hawks through the middle of the ground. Kick to Bramble. Takes the mark. Will run at the man on the mark and draw him Hunter. Feed the handball to Mitchell. Loops it over the top to Impey. Hawks at half forward. Free kick. Just bundled over with Seamus Mitchell after he gave the handball away. And Impey will get the kick downfield, being all of 10 metres forward of where the handball was given from. Impey gives it off to Newcomb. Gives it a fair roost, but it's out to the right. A minor score. Back to 47 points, Melbourne's advantage.
Stephen May brings the Demons back into play in game 200. Also 200 for Dion Prestia. They started their career at the Gold Coast Suns. Works it up to Alex Neil-Bullen, who got it to Langdon, and now back to Stephen May. The dual All-Australian joined the Demons and became a premiership player. Out to Hibbert, who marks in the left back pocket. No one's on the mark, so he can play on and work it over the top by foot to Clayton Oliver. Left half back, Bemba's side. Oliver with possession number 30. Chips a kick to Max Gawn. They're just chipping it up the wing at the moment. Gawn's eyes start inboard. There's nothing really on offer, so he veers out to the right. Sends it towards his fellow ruckman in Grundy. Sicily came charging in. It gets to the back. Warple picks it up for the Hawks. Hand pass to Mitchell and now to Carl Amon. Looks in the middle of the ground to Newcomb on the half volley. Wasn't a great kick. Now looking for options out on the members wing. Kicks it to Kazitsky.
Kazitsky will set it up inside 50. Trying to get a run and jump it at Lewis. Can't in the end. May drops the mark. Live footy inside 50 for the Hawks. Picking it up, Hibbard for the D's. Handball to Viney. Handball to Brayshaw. Shovels out a handball. Onto it, Butler. Trying to get a handball to Bruce for the Hawks. Coming in Langdon. He's there to mop it up. Off to Bowie, who can kick towards the wing. Jath gets in front of his opponent and will win a free kick. Chandler just impeding. So Jath with the kick. Beneath the Great Southern Stand. 47 points, Melbourne's advantage. Got as wide as 48. There's Jath. Waits a kick into the pocket. Best set up for Lever. So he takes the most casual of intercept marks in the right back pocket.
16 minutes gone, final term. Melbourne by 47 points. There's Jake Lever. Sends it long up the southern wing. Max Gawn and Van Rooyen there. And Roo comes down with the mark. Between wing and half back for the Demons. Something about this 20-year-old that he's going to be exciting once he's played 50 games of footy. Up the wing, Nash rises over the top of Viney. Can't take the mark for the Hawks. Chandler with a hand pass back to Viney. Underground hand pass to Neil Bullen. Chips it to Clayton Oliver, who marks it right half forward. Sends it inside 50. It's wide of Langdon. And Charlie Spargo, and it goes out of play in the right forward pocket for the Demons.
Yeah, that's a little bit of the Hollywood stuff that crept in at the end of the second quarter there. That kick wasn't on. There was no need to do that. Just needed to go back and take his time and try to invent something. I'm pretty sure Simon Goodwin won't be happy with probably the last 6 or 7 minutes from the D's.
Throw in inside 50 for the D's. Gawn knocks it down, but straight to Amon for the Hawks. Sweeps a handball over the top to the run of Impey. Takes a bounce. Look out. Nearly getting him Chandler. Just gets the kick away Impey to Bramble, who breaks a tackle, runs away from halfback and short to Mackenzie on the wing. Hawks bringing it members side. Melbourne by 47. Mackenzie deliberate with his short kick. Away to a teammate in Newcomb. He moves it short to Bramble, just in the field of play. Right beneath the members here at the MCG. Bramble will wheel around and kick long inside 50, looking for a target. Hibbert in front of the pack. Doesn't complete the mark, spills out to Warple. Gets it on the boot, a high ball to full forward. And Langdon, the fat side winger, folding back. He's standing there to take the mark unopposed. The defensive mark for the D's. They're out by 47, 18 and a half into the fourth.
It's an unbelievable work rate by Ed Langdon. But the deeper, he's playing on a wing and he's the deepest defender. They're just in position, so disciplined the way he runs and plays the game for Melbourne.
Worked it to Chuck McVie, game number 9 to Sparrow, who sends it long up the southern wing. No mark claim for Melbourne. Hardwick's hand pass to Warple, trying to duck out of the Viney tackle. Does so and gets onto his right boot. Long kick inside 50. Bruce to the back. May spoils it down. Racing after it is Dylan Moore. He can't gather. It stays in the field of play for a moment as Bowie gets a hand pass. Worked it to Sparrow. Drives it out of defence. Up towards Van Rooyen. Can't take the mark. Gaun's the crummer. Hand pass out wide to Langdon. Hand pass to Viney. They've got them on the overlap. He works it to Spargo. He runs the southern wing. Chips it over the top to Oliver. He doesn't have to break stride. Marks it right half forward. Has Pickett in the pocket. And Chandler deep. He goes for Neil Bullen on the lead and he takes the mark. Lockie Bramble was there but couldn't get a fist onto it to spoil. And Alex Neil Bullen, slightly right of centre, will kick from 45 metres out.
It's a good build-up by the D's. Now they're in trouble across their back flank. They looked outnumbered. It's a little tap by Max Gawn that just clears it. That allows Ed Langdon the space to start running and get that chain of handball going.
Alex Neil Bullen, 8 goals, 4 so far this season. Crosses the paint of 50, sets it on its way, and it's out to the right. A minor score. Melbourne by 48 points at the 20-minute mark of the final term.
Seamus Mitchell Taking the kick in, goes long towards a contest. It's a 3-on-1 favouring the D's, and Brayshaw fists it out. There's going to be a free kick to the D's as well.
Against Sicily.
Brayshaw to get the kick. Melbourne by 48 points as Brayshaw goes short. Langdon marks. No one really stands the mark, so he kicks into the pocket. Big fly coming from Hardwick. At the fall of the ball, Sicily's there to mop up. Left back pocket, hooks across the body. High ball beyond the defensive 50. Brayshaw spoils again. Knocked on by Oliver. Day will get back and gather quickly. Handball away to Hardwick, to Morrison, to Waymon, to Jath, who runs out of play, tries to keep the ball in unsuccessfully. And a throw in right half forward for the D's. 48 points their advantage. Time on in the fourth. It's going to be a big win the way of Melbourne.
Mentioned Harley Reid, Rama. Did he pick up an injury today?
Yeah, I think the AFL Academy played Carlton reserves today. He came off a head knock in the last quarter.
Petrarca for Melbourne to Neil Bullen. Kicks out wide of Van Rooyen inside the attacking 50. Sicily's onto it for the Hawks. Gets the hand pass away. Off balance. Driving the kick, Mitchell out of defence. Up towards Butler. He's tackled by Hunter, who fell right in the middle of his back. Sam Butler will take the free kick at right half back for the Hawks. So how good can he be?
There's no doubt he's a good player.
Is there no doubt he's the number one pick?
I think right now, yes.
Butler up the wing through the hands of Rivers. Bramble's hand pass looking for McKenzie. He scraps with Hibbert for it. Knocks it down to the advantage of Bruce, and it goes out of play for a boundary throw in. Between wing and half forward for the Hawks on the members' side. Melbourne by 48 points. And taking control in this final term with 3-1 after the Hawks put it 5-3 in the third term.
Umpire brings it back in, right beneath the members. Meek slaps it down. Viney's tackled, gang tackled. Newcomb and Meek going in. The ball up. Nearly playing out time here. Still to come tonight. The Western Bulldogs and Carlton. Cripps and Bontempelli going head to head. Live footy on the wing back here at the G. Viney trying to gather it. Doesn't successfully. Brayshaw picks it up. Off to the run of Neil Bullen. D's down the broadcast wing. Van Rooyen back feeds a handball to Hunter. He'll kick inside 50, trying to find Chandler, who marks. And Jath comes up limping, holding his hand up towards the Hawthorn bench. Chandler goes into the pocket, very unselfishly spots up Christian Petrarca, who marks 40 metres out on a 45-degree angle. Karen Peterson downstairs.
Yeah, as you've well called there, Ben, just coming off to the bench, the Hawthorn doctor's walking with him. He looks fairly sore, but he is moving on his own, so fingers crossed he's going to finish out the game.
Christian Petrarca, a Norm Smith medalist, an All-Australian last year. And he comes in and tugs this hard left. Misses the lot. Well, doesn't miss the lot, sneaks through in the end for a minor score. So Melbourne out by 49 points, 14-13, 97 plays 7-6-48.
Hawthorn out of defence, but only for the moment as it's taken back by Jordan on half forward for Melbourne. 1-2 with Pickett, dribbles a kick towards Fridge. He's beaten to it by Seamus Mitchell. Fires a hand pass for the Hawks to centre half back. Moore dodging and weaving, hand pass to Carl Amon. Gets it away to Weddle, who shows good acceleration, trying to draw the opponent. His hand pass wasn't great from Moore. Gathers, jams it onto his left boot. Kicks it out to Butler, who marks on the southern wing. Hand pass over the top to Amon. Hawthorn now into the forward half. Levers loose. The kick looking for Kajitsky. Couldn't pull in the mark. Got the hand pass away to Bruce, who's able to link up with Moore. Hand pass to Morrison. He shins it inside 50. Meek tried to get a hand to it. Couldn't do so. Oliver for Melbourne. Hand pass to Langdon. Links up with Jordan. Kicks to a vacant half forward line. Petrarca racing after it. Sicily the other direction. Sicily missed it. Neil Bullen knocks it on to Petrarca. Trying to get away from Sicily. He got the hand pass away. French to finish. Beautiful from Melbourne. Just managed to keep it going forward. And Christian Petrarca Was able to do the rest with a half pass to Fritsch for his second. 2 final quarter goals for Bailey Fritsch. And Melbourne lead by 55 points, 15-13, 103 to Hawthorn 7-6-48. 25 minutes go on final term.
Well, I'm watching the replay here to see where Bailey Fritsch started. He actually started just inside his defensive 50. All the play was in front of him, but he just kept tracking, running with the footy all the way down to get on the end of that play. Great play by Petrarca and the others.
Neil Bullen.
And Neil Bullen. But Fritsch, I reckon he probably ran past minimum 3 Hawthorn players on the way to get on the end of that, but definitely started about 48 metres out from his defensive goals and kicks a goal at the other end. That's just great work rate, great running, and if I'm Sam Mitchell, I'm showing that down the ground footage to my defenders.
Fritsch with his 18th goal of the season, out of the middle. Meek does the roving, handball away to Warple, to Nash, who'll kick long towards the pocket, trying to find a marker down there in Butler. He can't take it. Now Morrison onto the loose footy, away to Moore, sells the candy, just gets a handball away, bruised in congestion. Handball to Morrison, to Nash, off to Day, on the run from 45, he misses the lot. That's out of bounds on the full.
That's a difference there. They just couldn't get a snap-on goal there, Hawthorn. Melbourne just kept pushing him back with their pressure. They were at about 20 metres out, and because of pressure, Day takes the kick at 45 metres out.
Stephen May long out of the fence, kicks it towards Max Gawn, who gets the first tap to it and claims the mark on the second. Sends it long around the southern wing. Grundy back with the flight against Frost, can't take the mark. Spills the way of Jarman Impey, tackled by Sparrow. Came the way of Fritsch, who was legged. Melbourne won't take the advantage as Viney holds the ball aloft. Bailey Fritsch was held goalless last week against the Gold Coast Suns. A couple of goals in the final term. He looks inside 50, places it in the direction of Petrarca. Little shove on Will Day, no free kick. Then he was taken high by Max Gawn, still no whistle. Warple's 1-2 with Meek, has to fend off Grundy. Returns the hand pass all the way back to Mitchell, who chips it to Bramble in the right back pocket for the Hawks.
Bramble came on as the sub in the first half. Will chip it short to Amon, marking it right half back. Melbourne out by 55 points. Amon kicks towards centre half back, and Warple can mark. Wants to switch the play. There's a teammate running on in Weddle. Loops a handball over the top to Impey. Oliver comes and closes down Impey. Gets a handball away. Weddle goes in, leaves it behind. Oliver's there to scoop it up. Handball away to Viney. D's back the other way quickly. Handball to Spargo. Off to Sparrow. Forward of the wing here for the D's. Langdon will kick inside 50.
Trying to get it to Max Gawn, but couldn't clear. Sam Frost in game 150. Not the best kick inboard to Carl Amon. It gathers. Hand pass to Nash. Sends it out to McKenzie at right half back for the Hawks. Members side. Space in front of him. Takes a bounce. Gets towards half forward and now a second. Jordan offers chase. Chips it inside 50. Tough one for Moore. It clears him. Ricochets off May. Hand pass from Butler. Trying to link up with Moore. McVee's in there for the Demons. Spins out of traffic. Hand pass to the back pocket for Spargo. He's tackled by Bruce. Over his shoulder. Through for a minor score. Umpire says that was all okay. He was under enough pressure. And a 54-point lead Melbourne's way at the 29-minute mark of the final term.
Melbourne go through the motions as they dominate the Hawks to win by 54 points. 15-13, 103, place 7-7-49.
It's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
So they did their work early in the first half. They kicked 8 goals to 1 to half-time to lead by 45. The 54-point margin just 1 point less than as big as it got. And in the end, Harrison Petty with a couple, Bailey Fritsch with a couple, Charlie Spargo, and then individuals, Van Rooyen, Grundy, Viney, Gawn, Oliver, Langdon, Rivers, Sparrow and Pickett. While for the Hawks, just singles to Lewis, Meek, Bruce, McKenzie, Butler and Weddle.
It's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
The only possible concern for Melbourne at the end of the game as the siren sounded and players were shaking hands and celebrating in the case of the Demons. Christian Petrarca was sitting down inside what was their attacking 50 with two doctors checking out what looked like a lower left leg injury, and he's just hobbling around at the moment, looking a little sore. Christian Petrarca, there's a definite limp. I wouldn't say it's too pronounced, but a limp nonetheless.
Harrison Petty out there as well in a moon boot, having been subbed out after the first half, and James Jordan coming on. So Melbourne get a percentage boost as the second place Demons now move to the top of the AFL ladder. They move to 143.6 for the moment, with Collingwood still to play GWS tomorrow on Mother's Day. And the Demons at one stage looked like they might put on a cricket score, but the Hawks fought back in the third term. The thoughts of Adam Romanascus and Nathan Burke with you on ABC Sport.
Melbourne did all their work early, and it was their immense pressure that really set the game up, only allowing the Hawks to kick the one goal in the first half, and it was pretty much game over from there. We know the Demons, they had a pretty bruising encounter last week up on the Gold Coast, and when that game was finished, you could tell the players were exhausted. So I was always concerned that when they were so far ahead, they may just take their foot off the pedal in that second half, and they probably did slightly, but it also meant that the Hawks did lift in that second half. And at this level, there's a saying that coaches shouldn't have to coach effort, and they don't have to coach effort. And I think the Hawthorn players were giving effort, but it's what part of the game do you give the most effort to? And to me, that's the intensity to defend, the intensity to really go hard at your opponent and to push over and nail the free players before they actually get the footy. That's where I think Sam Mitchell may have spoken to his team at half-time, that I know you're giving effort, but I want you to give the effort at the right areas of the game, and that's that defensive side. And when they did that, it wasn't pretty, the goals that they got in the second half. They just forced the ball forward. They kept it in the forward line. They made it hard for Melbourne to bring the ball out a couple of times. A couple of uncharacteristic bombs out that went back in again, and they got repeat entries and goals. So whilst, yes, a coach shouldn't have to coach effort, but they've got to coach where that effort specifically goes, and that's intensity at the opposition. So great lesson there for the Hawks, that they need to bring that. They're not skillful enough to play any other way at the moment, and it has to be their one wood, has to be what they build their game on. For the Demons, they're probably upset that they only scored 103 points. This was a game, because they're going to be vying for that sort of top spot, and it looks like at the moment there's probably going to be 3 or 4 sides, especially that could be around that top 4, so percentage could be important. The fact that they only kicked 103 points probably is a little bit under par for what they were expecting in this game, especially when they kept the other team to 1 goal at half-time, Emma.
Yeah, I just thought Melbourne were incredibly efficient today. There was little parts of the game where they probably toyed, I think is the right word, with Hawthorn, where it was a little bit of showtime. But all in all, it was a really professional win by the D's today against clearly an inferior opposition, particularly in that first half. So I love the way the defence. I said this at halftime. The way they set up their defence. They're a very system-based team where, you know, they know where they need to be. They know who they need to be playing on. They know how to defend together. But then it's the attack. Like, I watched the ball come through the middle of the ground or across the wings with Lockie Hunter and Ed Langdon, and how they're just disciplined in their positioning, and then go inside their forward 50 with really there's no real recognised key forward other than Bailey Fritsch, who's a medium. Van Ruyen and Petty who was a defender. So the way they go through and then are able to then use a discipline again to set up players. They had multiple goal kickers today, a number of different goal kickers. So it was just an incredibly well-oiled, well-drilled, professional performance tonight by the D's. Didn't get to any great standards, I don't think, but to walk away with a 54-point win, it's going to be a nice percentage boost for them. Hawthorn, on the other hand, they should be incredibly disappointed with that first half of football. They looked lost at times in that first half. They were pointing fingers at each other, who should be where or who should be manning up here. But the reality is in football, it's work rate and intent, and I don't think they showed that in the first half, particularly defensively. Just Stephen May just getting chaired off here in his 200th game with, who is that, Michael Hibbert and Jake Lever carrying Stephen May off. Terrific. Been a terrific player for the D's. They spent a lot on him to get into the club, but he's definitely repaid that debt to the D's.
In his 5th season with the Demons, a 2-time All-Australian Premiership player with Melbourne, game 200 for him, and makes his way down the race, leading the Melbourne Charge, their 7th win of the season, and 12 individual goal kickers, so they were able to share the love amongst their players, but that might be the only thing in which Simon Goodwin would be keen to work on, is that they had a lot of inside 50s.
Yeah, 66 inside 50s for the game to 41, so they're, what is that, 28 scoring shots there, 15 goals, 13. So probably they left a couple out there. I think it's
They took 21 marks.
Yeah, inside
50. So Hawthorn's 5.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, they play a very disciplined, structured game, Melbourne. To beat Melbourne, you need to take them out of their structure. You need to make them uncomfortable. And Hawthorn simply just couldn't do that.
They're in pretty good shape. If Harrison Petty doesn't come up for next week, they've got Ben Brown and McDonald and Shackey all waiting in the wings. Yeah. So it's not bad, 3 tall forwards to have in your back pocket.
In front of 39,818 fans of the MCG, let's join the Demons with Kieran Peterson.
Is it making their way in? Well and truly led from the front by Stephen May in game 200. As you said, there's quite a lot of kids getting around. Actually, Max Gorn's little boy's in tears, so he's not overly happy with the win, but there's a few other of the kids getting around, high fives and face paint on, so fairly happy camp in here. As you said, Melbourne winning 7 on the trot. They kicked the first 6 goals of the game and ran out eventual winners by 54 points. Great scenes down here, Clinchy. As I said, lots of kids, family affair, and there's plenty more behind the rail. So I'll get back to you with Stephen May for some wrap-up of that game.
Thanks, Kez. We're on air for about another 7 minutes before we take you to Docklands in Melbourne. It's Carlton taking on the Western Bulldogs. So we might clear our responsibilities here and get the votes for the ABC Footballer of the Year.
I gave 1 to Ed Langdon. I think, talking about discipline, Ed Langdon's the best two-way runner in the game at the moment. He's either the last line of defence or he's pushing into the forward 50 where he's able to kick a goal tonight. 22 possessions for Langdon. I gave 2 to Christian Petrarca. I thought he was, particularly in that first half, he was just continued to push the ball forward. He had 30 possessions himself, 12 score involvements, 9 inside 50s. So a big game and 6 clearances. And I gave 3 to Jack Viney. I thought he was terrific tonight. 31 disposals, 18 of those contested, 6 tackles, 3 clearances, 6 inside 50s, and a goal himself. So he was the best player on the ground tonight.
Yeah, good work.
3 to Viney, 2 to Petrarca, 1 to Ed Langdon. Sorry, just doing some domestics behind the scenes there.
You
were all over it. Yeah.
I was dutifully writing the votes down in my book and didn't even notice you disappear, Clinchy. So I wasn't totally aboard there.
That's all right. We got there in the end. Melbourne play Port Adelaide next Friday night at the Adelaide Oval. So all of a sudden, the Demons have got Fremantle and Carlton in the weeks to come. But that feels like a good test to gauge where both sides are. It feels like Melbourne are riding through the gears a little bit, and Port Adelaide are hoping they belong inside the top 8.
Well, what's interesting is Port Adelaide played North Melbourne today. Melbourne play Hawthorn, 2 of the bottom teams. So then come up against each other next week, which I'm looking really forward to that game, because it's probably more of a test for Port Adelaide. I think we find out a little bit more about them, where they are within the season or within the rankings of who we think's capable this year.
Interesting, last week on Grandstand AFL Sunday, Corbin Middlemass asked Christian Petrarca about his game streak that he's got going at the moment, and Track said, I hope you haven't jinxed me.
Oh, no.
And now he's hurt his foot here today. So the mock
He didn't look
Middlemass,
overly happy either.
Yeah,
Taking his boot off, and he's clearly unhappy that it happened in the last minute of the game.
I saw a replay, so it was when they went for their final foray inside 50 and he was tackled by Sicily and the ankle rolls underneath the strain of the tackle. So hopefully he's okay. Hopefully garden variety, not a...
I'm just seeing the scenes in the room here at the moment, and he doesn't look too stressed as he's walking along. It looks like the players are going into the meeting room at the minute.
Hawthorn take on West Coast next week. Hard to work out who's playing better footy out of those two sides at the moment, but the Eagles have had so many injury challenges, and you would think Hawthorn technically, but that match is taking place in Tassie, the early game on Sunday, so...
West Coast are lucky to field a team at the moment. I've got the amount of injuries they have.
I've got a ticket down to that game in the commentary box if anyone would like to take it off me. Any takers?
I don't think you're meant to give tickets away.
They can actually do the special comments for the game if they want.
You still collect the pay packet though, Burke.
So what can Sam Mitchell try to use out of tonight, especially that third quarter, to try and motivate his young group that, with one win for the season, it's not going to be constantly uphill all year?
Well, I think he needs to show the third quarter. Like, what can happen a lot of times when you're towards the bottom of the ladder is you get buried by the negative. I think sometimes, and in the end, it just drains and grinds on a player. It's just the constant negative in your ear. So I think showing some positive of, okay, hey guys, here's when we're playing good footy. Have a look at this. Have a look at the run. Have a look at the pressure. We score.
Yeah, you've got a choice as a coach. You can go and show them all the things that they didn't do, or you can really hone in on the game and say, this one was the right one, this one was the right one, this one was the right one. And especially with a young developing team who are, in their own minds, they're heavily concerned about their own performance as well as the team performance. That's just what young fellas do. They're unsure about their spot in the team, so you've got to just go on that. As hard as it is as a coach, you've got to really dig into it and go, look at this, watch this again and again and again, and almost imprint in their brain the right thing to do, and show very, very few of certainly don't show any skill errors, anything like that. It's more that decision making, but if you can find good examples and really hone in, imprint those. I know when Chris Fagan took over at Brisbane, his match reviews were very much, he would dig into that game to the nth degree to find things that they did well and repeatedly show those, so they just pick it up by osmosis and start doing it.
We're hoping to hear from Stephen May, but time is against us, so we might get Kez to record that down in the Melbourne rooms, and we'll bring that to you at halftime in the match between Carlton and the Western Bulldogs. Good game. Who are you tipping tonight?
I've actually tipped Carlton tonight. Now or never.
Well, I liked your stuff this morning, Rama. About Carlton eating their own. They do it better than anyone else.
They don't need to. Unity at a football club is so important. And I said this on the lead at midday. Your field reflects your on-field. Okay, so there's just... I don't know. I don't get it at clubs sometimes, and I know, Berkey, you've lived it a lot, unfortunately, at the Saints. But unity and strength and togetherness is so important factors. It's no fluke. The teams at the top of the ladder, they show consistent behaviours. They show consistent behaviours as football clubs, and they don't sweat the small things.
Luke Sayers has spoken at the President's function tonight, saying don't be distracted by the outside noise. We're a united board. So did you tip Berkey?
Bulldogs.
Bulldogs.
Go Doggies.
It's inside noise sometimes there at Carlton. I think the doggies as well.
I'm looking forward to seeing Bontempelli against Cripps.
Oh, yes.
If they're not lining up alongside each other, I'm going to be disappointed.
It's what Rammer asked for on the lead again today as well.
Absolutely. So if that's the game you're looking for, that'll be on your radio next. If not, the Brisbane Lions and Essendon is taking place from the Gabba. Just look for the ABC Listen app and click on the AFL Extra button. Melbourne winners by 54 points. 15-13, 103 to the Hawks, 7-7-49 in front of 39,818 fans. The Demons for tonight jump to the top of the AFL ladder. We bid you farewell from the MCG. We're off to Docklands. Enjoy your night.